Chapter 2453. What were those? Were they ancient people? They frowned and thought that they were zombies, or that the bones had mutated. But now it seemed that it wasn't the case. Could it be that they were Yin soldiers? An elder of the Yi family frowned. Yin soldiers. The others also changed their expressions. After Lin Xian heard this, he also frowned. He knew that this kind of thing was a very terrifying existence. Although they were dead, they had temporarily come back to life under certain circumstances. What was even more terrifying was that these people might have retained their combat strength and divine abilities from when they were alive. Once they attacked, it would be extremely terrifying. He didn't expect that there would be Yin soldiers in the ancient tomb of a saint. Looking at the murderous aura on their bodies, they were definitely not ordinary people. They must have been very powerful kings when they were alive. Buzz! 7 Yin soldiers stood there like statues with sharp blades in their hands. Gradually, a trace of sharpness appeared in their grayish-white eyes. Then the endless death aura around them gathered towards their bodies. Roar! Roar, roar, roar! Roars came from their mouths. The 7 Yin soldiers seemed to have come to life and moved slowly. Buzz! Among them, one of the Yin soldiers waved the long spear in his hand and stabbed forward. His target was the 5 Elements Palace. Because at this moment, the people of the 5 Elements Palace were the closest to the Yin soldiers. Courting death, the few young martial artists of the 5 Elements Palace roared. So what if they were Yin soldiers? How dare they attack the dead? They struck out with the power of the 5 elements and blasted forward. These were all young geniuses. At this moment, they were absolutely terrifying when they attacked together. Boom! However, what happened next surprised them. All of their power of the 5 elements was instantly pierced through. A long spear broke through the void and directly came in front of them. No! These people screamed, their faces were full of horror, and wanted to escape. Puff, puff, puff. Time seemed to have stopped. The 3 young geniuses of the 5 elements sect stiffened. Their bodies were pierced through by a bronze-long spear. They were nailed in the void as if they were candied haws. Drip, drip. Blood dripped, making a muffled sound that made everyone's scalp tingle. So powerful. They were too shocked. These Yin soldiers were too terrifying. They killed 3 geniuses in an instant. What kind of method was this? They didn't dare to imagine. Damn it, let's attack together. Kill them all. He absolutely could not allow them to absorb any more death energy. The elder of the Yi family roared. Although Leaf Daodinier wasn't present, the elders and disciples of the Yi clan were still terrifying. They were the clan of the ancients, which was absolutely terrifying. Now that he had struck out, it was truly enough to cause the entire world to explode. Not only the Yi family, but the Wavering Light Sacred Land had also made a move. Other than that, the 5 Elements Palace, 4 Symbols Holy Grounds, Grand Xia Dynasty, 9 Li Dynasty, 9 Heavens Holy Ground, etc. Everyone attacked together, and the terrifying power spread out in all directions. Boom! Immortal Palace's people also took action. In an instant, the few Yin soldiers in front of them were submerged by the berserk energy. When the energy dissipated, the 7 Yin soldiers ceased to exist. Seeing this scene, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The warriors from the Holy Lands sneered. What kind of Yin soldiers are they? They have no power to fight back against us. That's right, there are so many of us. What can a mere 7 Yin soldiers do to us? These people threw their heads back and laughed. However, before they could finish laughing, a low voice suddenly sounded. An even colder aura appeared. Then all around them figures stood up one after another. They wore broken armor and held sharp blades in their hands. The cold aura on their bodies swept through the world, causing people to tremble. 1, 2, 3. The more they looked, the more frightened they became because at this moment, there were hundreds of Yin soldiers around them. Although they didn't have as many people as they did, the Yin chi that they emitted was too terrifying. Moreover, it seemed that more Yin soldiers were awakening. Damn it! Run! This seems to be a place to hide corpses. Countless powerhouses were buried here. These people seemed to have been killed, and their resentment was very strong. Now that they were resurrected, who knew what kind of crazy things they would do? Run! An elder of the Tuoba family roared crazily. The elders of the other families also changed their expressions. At this moment, No one dared to stay here, and left one after another. However, among them, a few people from the myriad poison sect used black chains to shroud the ghost spirit wood. It seemed that they were reluctant to part with it. Not only them, but the people from the 9 heavens holy lands and 5 elements palace also attacked the Yin-shaped grass. However, Lin Xian was faster. He asked the little white monkey to snatch the Yin-shaped grass. White Yi's figure flashed and directly pulled out 3 Yin-shaped grasses, and then disappeared into the void. Ah, damn monkey! I'm going to kill you. The people from the 5 elements palace and 9 heavens holy lands roared crazily. On the other side, the people from the myriad poison sect sneered, because they had snatched 2 ghost spirit woods. Buzz! Crack! However, at this moment, one of the ghost spirit woods strangely broke, and 2/3 of it disappeared into the void. Damn it, what happened? The people from the myriad poison sect were stunned. Ah! They roared crazily. Who is it? Come out! They naturally knew that someone was secretly snatching the ghost spirit woods. But what kind of method was this? Appearing out of thin air, and snatching more than half of the ghost spirit woods. They didn't even know who the enemy was. At the front, Lin Xian revealed a smile. The little white monkey held more than half of the purple ghost spirit woods, and kept jumping. Lin Xian waved his hand, and kept all these things into the black earth. Let's go. He brought Shen Jingqiu, Morong Qingcheng, and the people from Immortal Palace and quickly left. Boom. Boom. The corpse storage ground was too big. There was a long passage in front of them, and there were corpses on both sides, surrounded by endless resentment. At this moment, Yin soldiers crawled out from the corpses one after another. It was only now that Lin Xian and the others realized that these Yin soldiers were too strange. The battle armor they were wearing wasn't real battle armor. Instead, it was formed by cold resentment through the power of some kind of life. Even their weapons were the same. Chapter 2454. It was the same for Lin Xian and the rest. Lin Xian unleashed the dragon sword realm, which enveloped everyone and transformed into an azure dragon. Inside, Xing Tian, elderly the other elites, including Brother Morong, channeled all their energy into the azure dragon. The divine dragon swung its tail invincible. All the Yin soldiers in the way were sent flying. Their speed could be said to be extremely fast. It was the same for the Yi family. Countless geniuses and elders of the Yi family shone with a golden light that shot into the sky, forming a golden giant. They sent the Yin soldiers flying. On the other side, the wavering light sacred ground had the wavering light sage leading the way. The dragon pattern cauldron above their heads emitted a myriad of auras. It could kill even gods. The Yin soldiers in the sky were sent flying. The other sacred grounds and sects also joined forces and left quickly. These were not ordinary people. After the initial panic, they organized an effective counterattack. However, it didn't take long for Lin Xian and the others to slow down. Finally, they stopped. This was because there were 5 figures in front of them. These 5 figures were very similar to the Yin soldiers from before, but there were some differences. The armor on their bodies was more solid, and there were even ghostly patterns on it. 2 of them were even riding on war horses. However, they were not living creatures. They were Yin horses. They were formed by resentment. Damn it. These are not Yin soldiers. They are Yin generals. Their abilities are far above the Yin soldiers. As expected, the 5 Yin generals forced everyone to retreat as soon as they attacked. Buzz! The dragon pattern cauldron trembled and let out a dragon roar. Lin Xian's azure dragon shadow also roared into the sky. In an instant, a terrifying sound wave swept across the entire space. If they wanted to move forward, they had to kill these 5 Yin generals. Elderly Xing Tian, defend yourselves. Qingcheng Qiu'er, don't move. Oh, go and kill him. Lin Xian's body swayed as he charged over. Elder Li and the rest stayed where they were, fighting against the Yin soldiers around them. On the other side, the wavering light sage also charged over. On the Yi family's side, an elder of the Yi family attacked. Of the 5 Yin generals, only 2 remained. From the Grand Xia Empire, a white-robed young man walked out. He was a prince of the Grand Xia Empire. At this moment, he also made his move and charged towards the Yin general. Qiu'er, you wait here. I'll deal with the last Morong Qingcheng. Her figure flashed, and she charged towards the last Yin general with light that filled the sky. 5 powerful experts against 5 Yin generals. All of a sudden, the sky fell and the earth cracked. However, this was the tomb of a sage after all. Such a violent attack did not cause any damage to the surrounding mountain walls. Everyone was amazed. Everyone knew that only a saint would be able to do something like this. Lin Xian soared into the air and killed a Yin warrior in front of him. That Yin general had a tall and straight figure. He wore a black battle armor with ice-cold runes flickering on it. An incomparably powerful force erupted like a volcano. Sword of fire. Lin Xian was the first to attack. A black flaming sword slashed down from the sky, and a vast aura crashed down like waves. Evil beings were afraid of fire. Hence, Lin Xian thought that the sword of fire should be able to restrain the other party. However, the outcome was far beyond his expectations. The Yin general was indifferent. He waved the black spear in his hand and stabbed it out. The black light was like the river Styx. It met the attack head-on. The two of them exploded, and an aura of ice and fire blended together. Soon the sword of fire was blocked. The Yin general stabbed his spear again. The terrifying spear light turned into a black dragon. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws. It tore through the void and charged forward. Sword of water. Lin Xian swung his sword, and water filled the sky, trapping the black dragon. Sword of earth. The ground cracked open, and 3 stone swords pierced out from the ground, charging towards the Yin general. Boom! 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 The sword of earth slashed on the Yin general's body, and a sonorous sound could be heard. It was earth-shattering, and it tore through the void. However, the other party's black battle armor was very strange. Its defense was very strong, and it forcefully blocked the impact. Humph! Sky-shattering. Seeing this, Lin Xian snorted. He did not use the 5 elements sword again. Instead, he used the chaotic heaven destroyer sword. The void in front of him exploded. An unparalleled force rushed towards the Yin general, trying to tear his body apart. Boom! This time, it was finally effective. The Yin general retreated 7 or 8 steps. The black battle armor on his body exploded. More than half of it was shattered, and half of his body was swallowed by the black hole. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. He realized that there was nothing under the battle armor. There were no skeletons or corpses. What was going on? What was this Yin general? He was stunned. He had thought that there would be at least a skeleton or a rotten body inside. However, the situation was far beyond his expectations. However, what shocked him even more was yet to come. At this moment, the shattered armor was slowly recovering. The endless cold ghost chi in the surroundings converged towards this side. Mysterious black runes formed and slowly healed. In the end, it was as good as new. Roar! The Yin general let out an angry roar, shattering the void. The cold and powerful aura exploded once again. Damn it, how could this be? Lin Xian frowned. He was not the only one. The great Xia prince, the Alcate sage, the Yi family's elder, and Morong Qingqing were all in the same situation. They were all peerless experts. When they attacked, they injured the Yin general. However, the Yin general did not die. Instead, he absorbed the Yin qi and recovered. Could they not be killed? The 5 of them retreated and confronted the Yin general. They quickly discussed. Could it be that they could not be killed? Morong Qingqing frowned. The surrounding Holy Land martial artists who were fighting against the army of Yin soldiers had ugly expressions on their faces when they saw this. Not only were the 5 Yin generals unkillable, but the surrounding Yin soldiers were also unkillable. Even if they were destroyed, they would soon reassemble and crawl over. It was endless and made them feel hopeless. Impossible, there was nothing that could not die. Even a sage could fall. Needless to say, these Yin ghosts were nothing. The great Xia prince said in a deep voice. There must be a way, but we have not found it. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Chapter 2455. Yi Tian roared angrily as his body emitted light and crackled. The void beneath his feet instantly collapsed. This scene shocked everyone. This young man was so powerful. He seemed to be no weaker than the saint. Kill! Yi Tianlu roared. Like a demonic god, he quickly rushed over. He threw out a punch as light bloomed. The roars of dragons and tigers could be heard, causing heaven and earth to tremble. Boom! This punch was aimed at the heart of the Yin general. However, the Yin general dodged quickly, and his head exploded. However, it was useless. The shattered head slowly reassembled, and the armor returned to its original state. Seeing this, the Alcate Saint, Morong Qingsheng, and the prince of the great Xia dynasty's eyes flickered. Indeed, the vital point was not the head. From the looks of it, it should be in the heart. At the thought of this, they did not hesitate and charged forward. Yi Tian also attacked again. Lin Xian also held the ancient dragon abyss sword, and emitted a terrifying sword Dao aura. The 5 Yin generals on the other side were obviously enraged. They launched fierce attacks as ghostly qi surrounded the sky, and countless resentful spirits accompanied them. Whoosh! A black light tore through the void, and a Yin general appeared in front of Lin Xian. The black spear in his hand slashed down like a heavenly blade. The void shattered and split into 2. Lin Xian's body turned cold as he sensed the threat of death. The Yin general's strength was even more powerful than before. However, so what? Lin Xian snorted as tens of thousands of sword qi rushed out from his body and blocked the black spear. At the same time, his eyes were like a peerless divine sword that pierced through the void and pierced forward. Crack, crack, crack. 2 rays of sword light pierced through the Yin general's body. It was sent flying. Roar! The Yin general let out a furious roar. The ghostly qi in the sky circled around and tried to repair it. However, it did not succeed this time. The 2 rays of sword light stabbed into its body and could not be destroyed. Not only that, the sword light was destroying the Yin energy in its body. What a terrifying sword qi! What kind of sword technique was that? Everyone was shocked. Even the prince of the great Xia dynasty and the Alcate Saint were shocked when they saw this scene. Lin Xian took a deep breath, his eyes flickering. Most people would have been killed by his 2 sword lights. The other party was actually fine. As expected, due to the fact that it wasn't a living being, it didn't feel any pain. Even if it was injured, its fighting prowess wouldn't fall. It was indeed troublesome. Buzz! On the surface of the ancient dragon abyss sword, a mysterious rune was unraveled, and the power of the sword qi exploded once again. Demon Sealing, Battle Song, Chaotic Pattern, Sky Shattering. The 4 ultimate moves were unleashed, and everything in front of him was instantly destroyed. The Yin general was beaten to the point of hovering between life and death. His body was shattered dozens of times. However, the place where his heart was still intact. Therefore, after a dozen times, his body was once again in perfect condition. However, the Yin qi in his body had decreased by more than half. Clearly, he was not unkillable. Every time he died, his Yin energy would be depleted. Even with the replenishment of Yin energy in the surroundings, it was impossible for him to return to his peak state in a short period of time. Roar! The Yin general roared in anger. His eyes shone with a cold light as Yin qi circled around his body. He charged over like a madman, and another fierce battle ensued. God punishing! Lin Xian shouted coldly, and unleashed the 5 ultimate moves of the chaotic heaven destroyer sword. Between heaven and earth, a mysterious sword light flashed, and enveloped the Yin general in an instant. In the next moment, the Yin general's body was cut into hundreds of pieces. His heart, which was the most important part, was also pierced through by the sword. Roar! The Yin general let out an indignant roar. The black armor on his body began to disappear like smoke and quickly melted. Clang! A black bead fell from the sky. There was no corpse, only a black bead. Lin Xian frowned. He waved his hand and summoned the black bead in front of him. His eyes flickered as he looked at it carefully. He saw that the black bead was covered with mysterious patterns. They looked like strange ancient characters. He couldn't understand what they meant. Lin Xian unleashed the great dragon sword soul, and unleashed countless sword qi to envelop the black bead. Then he put it away. He would study it in the future. Anyway, with the great dragon sword soul, he could destroy everything. The black bead wouldn't be able to do anything. After doing all this, Lin Xian looked around. The other 4 battles were almost over. The dragon-pattern cauldron above the Alcate Saints had opened and closed. The terrifying power blasted the Yin general's back. In the hand of the prince of the skyscraper, there was a golden sword that was extremely sharp. Yi Tian was like a god of war. His fist technique was unparalleled. Morong Qingqing was like a fairy. There was a lotus flower under her feet, surrounded by countless petals. She was exceptionally beautiful, but at the same time, she was extremely terrifying. In the end, the other foreign generals were also killed. That was great. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists of the great sage all heaved a sigh of relief. They blasted away the surrounding Yin soldiers and quickly advanced. Boom! They had just advanced 1,000 meters when a black fist suddenly appeared in front of them. It crushed the void and crashed toward them. The Yi family and the others were walking in front, so the fist directly enveloped them. Yi Tian roared and punched out. Bang bang! The two collided and made an earth-shattering sound. Then, Yi Tian was sent flying. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He was injured. How was that possible? The Yi family martial artists were shocked and could not believe it. The surrounding people also sucked in a breath of cold air. They all stopped in their tracks and looked ahead in bewilderment. Although Yi Tian was not a saint or a sacred body, he was a young prodigy of the Yi family. His strength was absolutely terrifying. He was definitely not weaker than the saint. Coupled with the Yi family's bloodline and the terrifying body tempering technique, no one could compete with him in close-range combat. However, the black fist in front of them directly injured Yi Tian. Who was that person? They did not dare to imagine. Lin Xian, the great Xia prince, the Alcate saint, and the other prodigies also frowned. Whoosh! Their eyes were red as they looked ahead. The void in front of them was torn apart by a pair of large black hands. Chapter 2456. Boom! Just as they were confused and discussing, the Yin king in front of them made his move. He slapped out with his palm, and the Styx river under his feet surged. It was incomparably roaring, like a black ocean surging over. It was going to swallow everyone. Quick, defend! An elder from the wavering light sacred ground exclaimed. These people did not dare to be careless and attacked one after another. They collided with the black Styx river. In the sky, intense energy exploded, and one black hole after another appeared. Finally, they managed to block the terrifying palm. However, the elder's expressions were ugly. This Yin king was too terrifying. He actually retained the divine ability from when he was alive. They could tell that the palm from before was an ancient technique. Thousand waves palm. The palm was like thousands of waves superimposed. It was very powerful. Humph. The wavering light saint snorted coldly, and Yi Tian's eyes lit up. I don't believe that I can't defeat him. Let's attack together. Lin Xian pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword again, and took a step forward. At the same time, Morong Qingqing beside him also came out. Shen Jingxiu also wanted to go up, but thinking about her lack of experience, she decided not to. She could only cheer from the side. Brother Lin Xian, sister Qingqing, you guys can do it. On the other side, the wavering light saint, Yi Tian, and the great Xia prince also walked out. The 5 peerless geniuses surrounded the Yin king in front of them. The surrounding people kept retreating, creating a battlefield. They knew that a shocking battle would erupt. At this moment, everyone was silently watching. Because this was a peerless battle, the 5 peerless geniuses were all saints. How spectacular would the scene be when the 5 of them attacked? The young disciples of the great sage were extremely excited. Even the older generation figures were full of anticipation. Whoosh! The Yin king in front of them did not speak, but his body emitted an incomparably terrifying aura. Buzz! Lin Xian and the other 4 tensed up. They felt a great pressure pressing down from the sky. It was as if the universe was going to tear their bodies apart. Boom! The Styx river under his feet suddenly spun like a black tornado, sweeping in all directions. Seeing this, Lin Xian and the other 4 moved to defend themselves. However, the water droplets flew in all directions, even though the Styx river was torn apart. Some of the Holy Land martial artists were touched by these water droplets and immediately screamed. They were actually killed by a drop of water. Corpses fell to the ground one after another, and blood dyed the ground red. When the surrounding people saw this scene, their faces were filled with horror. They retreated as if they had gone mad. At the same time, they activated their armor and their strongest defense. Damn it, how could it be so terrifying? They screamed. Initially, he had thought that he would be able to kill the other party with the help of the 5 geniuses. But now, it seemed that the situation was far beyond their expectations. A single drop of the black nether river beneath his feet could kill a genius from a sacred ground. This method was too terrifying. Even the elders of the Holy Lands had ugly expressions on their faces. They set up layers upon layers of formations that enveloped everyone. Immortal Palace. Elder Li and Xing Tian also took Shen Jingxiu and the other martial practitioners and quickly retreated. Xing Tian's face was solemn as he said in a deep voice, "This Yin King was too terrifying. When he was alive, he must have been a world-shaking peerless figure. Damn it." Seeing this scene, Lin Xian snorted coldly. The wavering light saint and the others also had gloomy expressions. They did not expect the Yin King to be so terrifying. In the next moment they decisively made their move. How could he be so strong? Who exactly was he? Could he be an invincible king? The people from the Holy Land were horrified. Even the elders had serious expressions on their faces. They even wanted to attack together and kill the other party quickly. However, they did not do so, because in front of them, Lin Xian and the other 4 attacked again. Buzz! Lin Xian's great dragon sword soul circulated crazily, and the 5 elements sword technique was displayed to the extreme. The power of the 5 elements flashed in the sky. Those sword lights were filled with killing intent. Bang! 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 The sword lights were extremely sharp, and like 5 heavenly swords, they descended from the sky and completely enveloped the Yin King. Ha ha ha! The Yin King was forced back, and the ghost chi on his body surged rapidly. What a powerful sword technique! Everyone behind was shocked. They did not expect that Lin Xian's sword technique could become stronger. Mountain Embracing Seal. Chapter 2457. The shadow of a huge mountain appeared in his arms and quickly condensed in the sky. This mountain was too terrifying. It was like a demonic mountain. It was covered with rocks and lush trees. The moment it appeared, it crushed the void and headed towards the King of Yin. Ancient technique, Mountain Embracing Seal. At this moment, it was used by Yi Tian and was extremely powerful. Furious Dragon Sword Technique. The prince of the Great Xia dynasty held a golden sword surrounded by the aura of a true dragon. He struck out a golden sword light that turned into a giant dragon roaring in the sky. Holy Light Ball. The wavering light saint raised his hand and struck out a terrifying golden light ball. Although it was only the size of a fist, it was too terrifying. The power on it made even the elders' eyelids twitch wildly. This was the ultimate technique of the wavering light sacred land. Catoptric Deflection. Murong Qingqing used the Jade Pool's great technique. 3 mirrors appeared between heaven and earth. They transformed into 3 half-moons and formed a triangle. The void was mercilessly cut open in an instant. The great techniques of the 5 people once again enveloped the Yin King. Bang! Bang! The Yin King was beaten until he was forced to retreat. His body was filled with ghost chi. Even his cold aura had weakened a lot. Seeing this scene, everyone was extremely excited. But soon, the faces of the older generation turned ugly again, because they found that although the Yin King was suppressed, his body was not damaged at all. Even his robe was not damaged at all. How could the other party's defense be so strong? Could it be that he was really an invincible king? They were extremely shocked, because the strength of Lin Xian and the other 4 was definitely at the level of a peerless mighty figure. And they were very terrifying existences among the peerless mighty figures. When the 5 of them joined forces, even a peerless mighty figure could not resist. Unless they had surpassed the realm of a peerless mighty figure and reached the realm of an invincible king. If that was the case, then it would be troublesome. An invincible king was far beyond the realm of a peerless mighty figure. It was impossible to defeat him. Don't worry, he shouldn't be an invincible king. The elder of the wavering light sacred land shook his head. If he was really an invincible king, his aura would be completely different. His current aura was still at the realm of a peerless mighty figure. Thinking about it, he must have a special ability. Or there was something wrong with that ancient Taoist robe. Hearing that he was not an invincible king, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, As long as they weren't invincible king tiers, they could be defeated. He believed that with the strength of the 5 geniuses, it was still possible for them to kill the other party. Wang. In front, King stopped retreating. He clapped his palms together and tore apart the energy storm. At the same time, his turbid eyes suddenly lit up with a white light. 2 white flames were emitted and pulsated. It was extremely strange. It looked like a flame, but it was emitting a cold aura. Spectral bonfire. Damn it, he actually managed to condense such a flame. Could it be that he could still cultivate? Seeing this scene, the faces of the surrounding elders turned incomparably ugly. Lin Xian and the other 4 were also shocked. That was because the impact of the 2 white flames on them was too great. A deathly threat instantly arose in their hearts. They knew that this was an extremely terrifying flame. They definitely couldn't resist it head-on. They had to think of a way to dodge it. Their opponent's white flames posed a great threat to them. Wang. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the dragon sword domain appeared, completely enveloping him. Pung pung pung. A low sound rang out. The white flames that filled the sky collided with the dragon sword domain, emitting the sound of ice and snow colliding. Fortunately, the dragon sword domain was formed by the great dragon sword soul. It was extremely terrifying and could destroy everything. Therefore, although the white flames were terrifying, they were still unable to break through the dragon sword domain. However, the other party's powerful strength made Lin Xian feel even more pressure. On the other side, Morong Qingqing Yi Tian, the great Xia prince, and the Alcade Saint all used their ultimate skills to block the terrifying spectral bonfire. Everyone's faces were solemn and abnormally ugly. When the various elders of the great sage saw this scene, they were extremely shocked and their scalps went numb. The 5 geniuses were actually suppressed. This made them unable to believe it. These were 5 geniuses, all of whom were at the level of saints. Any one of them could suppress a group of heroes. But now the 5 of them were actually unable to deal with King in front of them. Just what realm had this King reached? What strength was he? They didn't dare to imagine. This person must have been an incomparably terrifying peerless figure when he was alive. Many elders were shocked. Whoosh! Just as they were discussing, the white flames that filled the sky also pounced towards them. These people were so frightened that their scalps went numb. Hurry up and defend! They all raised their battle armors to resist. At the same time, the turrets, shields, and all kinds of lights lit up. But it was useless. In an instant, many people let out miserable cries. All their defenses melted under the white flames. Many experts' bodies melted and were burned clean, not even leaving behind ashes. Damn it, retreat! Everyone shouted and retreated frantically. They were extremely terrified. Only now did they know what kind of pressure Lin Xian, Alcade, and the Alcade Saint were under. That was way too terrifying. So many experts were killed in an instant. The power of the white flames was truly terrifying. Elder, should we go and help? A cultivator from the Yi family asked. They looked ahead and were a little worried. The Yi family's elder's eyes flickered as he shook his head slightly. There was no need. Their lives were not in danger yet. Not only the Yi family, but the people of the Nacrolite Sacred Ground, Immortal Palace, and the Great Xia Empire also didn't make a move. They knew that the strength of these geniuses was even more terrifying than they imagined. They were afraid that these people had not used their full strength yet. In front, Lin Xian and the other 4 blocked the white flames and began to counterattack. Their strength gradually increased. Lin Xian's sword qi soared into the sky. The huge sword qi was like a divine pillar that pierced the sky, piercing through the 9 heavens. The terrifying light was so dazzling that everyone could not open their eyes. Not only was it spectacular, but it was also extremely sharp. The surrounding white flames were actually extinguished by the sword qi. This scene shocked everyone. This guy was so powerful. He was actually able to extinguish such terrifying flames. Look, the Alcade Saint also made a move. Everyone exclaimed. In front, the Alcade Saint's dragon pattern cauldron was above his head, and thousands of auras drooped down. He waved his hand to activate the dragon pattern cauldron, and the 2 dragons on it roared. Countless rays of light scattered down, shattering the surrounding white flames. The great Xia prince's body was surrounded by the aura of the Tao of Dragon, And the giant golden sword in his hand was even more powerful. A vacuum area appeared beside him. Yi Tian's aura was violent, and his black hair fluttered. A huge golden giant completely enveloped him. The golden giant walked in the white flames, not afraid of the terrifying flames at all. Chapter 2458. The golden giant walked in the white flames, not afraid of the terrifying flames at all. The raging flames surrounded him, but they couldn't hurt him at all. Dragon Elephant Divine Fist. He pushed the golden giant, and punched out one terrifying fist after another, shattering the void. Countless flames were suppressed in an instant. Morong Qingqing stepped on a lotus flower, countless petals dancing around her. Her hands formed a seal, forming a blue bottle above her head. A stream of silver water descended and surrounded her, extinguishing the white flames around her. The 5 geniuses walked quickly in the white flames and charged forward. In an instant they arrived near the Yin King. The Yin King roared angrily. He felt provoked. Whoosh! The aura on his body erupted again, and it was incomparably sharp. The extremely cold aura made people tremble. So terrifying. Everyone was shocked. They didn't know that in the passage behind them, a group of people had also stopped. They were Yen Ruyu and the others from the Demon King Palace. They had already seen light in front of them and wanted to speed up. However, at this moment, an earth-shattering aura suddenly came from the front. It made everyone stop in their tracks. So terrifying. Whose aura was this? Could it be that the human race had such an expert? The faces of the warriors from the Demon King Palace turned pale, and their bodies trembled. Yen Ruyu and Huatianda's expressions were solemn. It was obvious that this aura brought them a great threat. The elders also frowned. Their eyes were like divine lamps, streaking across the void and looking into the distance. They were extremely shocked. It wasn't the human race. The others also saw it. This distance was nothing to them. Moreover, without the array, they could see the situation in front of them clearly in an instant. Soon they sucked in a breath of cold air. Yin King. Yin soldiers. Damn it. How could there be so many Yin soldiers? There was actually a Yin King. They were about to go crazy. Didn't this kind of thing only exist in legends? This was probably a place to hide corpses. Look at the corpses on both sides. Something must have happened to kill all these people here. Among them, there was no lack of powerful ancient experts. An elder's eyes flickered. Watiendu looked around. There were human corpses everywhere. There were no corpses of the demon race. Let's not go up first. Let's wait here for those people to deal with the Yin King first. The elder suggested, and the others nodded in agreement. There was nothing he could do about it. The aura ahead was simply too terrifying. Yen Ruyu's eyes flickered, but she didn't say anything. However, her gaze was fixed on a figure in the distance. In front of him, Lin Xian and the other 4 geniuses were all using their trump cards to get rid of the Yin King. Heaven-destroying finger. Yi Tian roared. He stretched out a finger and pressed it forward. Boom! A gigantic golden finger appeared between the heaven and earth, crushing down on the void like a huge golden mountain pressing down from the sky. This golden finger was incomparably huge, and there were countless mysterious patterns on it. It was as if it could really destroy the world. Hand of Heaven. Morong Qingqing waved her hand. Her palm was like white jade, extremely sharp and carried a wave of immortal Dao runes. It was as if the palm of a deity was rapidly approaching. This was a great divine ability that was extremely terrifying. It was rumored that it could shatter everything. Divine Dragon 7 steps. The royal family of the Great Xia also made their move. The phantom of a golden dragon appeared beneath his feet, and with every step he took, heaven and earth crumbled. This was a terrifying pace. Sure enough, with every step he took, the Yin King retreated a little. Mixed Yuan Sacred Light Technique. The Alcade Saint Sun shot out a terrifying light. Chapter 2459. The Death Demonic Saber was too terrifying. The black saber light enveloped the entire space, destroying all the afterimages. Humph! Clang! A saber light slashed towards the Alcade Saint, but was blocked by the Alcade Saint's dragon pattern cauldron. Another slashed towards Morong Qingqing, but was blocked by the lotus jade platform under Morong Qingqing's feet. The third slash was blocked by Yi Tian's golden giant. The great Xia prince used the divine dragon steps and dodged quickly. In the end, only Lin Xian was left. Lin Xian did not dodge and rushed forward. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand slashed open the void and collided with the death demonic saber. When the two collided, the sound of thunder was endless. Countless cracks appeared between heaven and earth, and black thunder fell from the sky. The energy was like a wave, slapping in all directions. Is this guy crazy? What is he trying to do? Does he want to fight the Yin King alone? When the surrounding people saw this scene, they exclaimed in surprise. The martial artists of the Immortal Palace were also worried. No, the young master wants the Yin King to use the death saber technique. Xing Tian frowned. Elder Li's eyes flickered. It seemed like that was the case. The death demonic saber technique was Hu Yidio's saber technique, but it was not complete. Now, the Immortal Palace master saw the complete death demonic saber technique. He must want the Yin King to use it completely. Does he want to restore the saber technique? Xing Tian also took a deep breath. Not only were the two of them shocked, but the elders and experts of the Great Sage Land were also shocked. They naturally realized Lin Xian's intention. But soon some people sneered. An elder of the Five Elements Palace sneered. This kid is too greedy. Although the death demonic saber technique is an ancient saber technique, it is extremely terrifying. But it is not so easy to master. Yes, an elder of the Nine Heavens Holy Ground snorted. This is a heaven-class cultivation technique. So what if you see it once? It is impossible to unleash the essence and power of the death demonic saber. One must have the corresponding cultivation technique and path to use the death demonic saber. Who does this guy think he is? He wants to restore the ancient saber technique? The people from the 10,000 Lightning Holy Land also sneered. Up ahead, the Yaoguang sage, the great Xia prince, and Yi Tian also frowned. Morong Qingcheng, on the other hand, looked worried. After blocking the death demonic blade, they also quickly rushed forward, ready to kill the enemy. This was because they did not think that Lin Xian would be able to gain anything from it. Brother Lin, use your final trump card. The prince of the great Xia dynasty said in a deep voice. Good. Lin Xian nodded. His eyes suddenly burst with an incomparably sharp light, and the sword qi on his body rose again. One dragon after another appeared in the sky, letting out loud dragon roars. At this moment, everyone was shocked and their expressions changed. The members of the royal family were especially terrified. No way, this is the aura of the Tao of Dragons. How could he have the aura of the Tao of Dragons? Moreover, it was so terrifying. It was even related to swordsmanship. They were all dumbfounded. The other party was not a member of the imperial family. So how could he know this kind of cultivation technique? The prince of the great Xia dynasty was also surprised. However, he quickly regained his senses. He used the divine dragon's 7 steps to the extreme, and the last step pressed down from the sky. It was so powerful that it directly shattered the entire void. The death demonic blade's radiance was shattered, and King Yin retreated. Whoosh! Lin Xian made his move. A dragon's roar and a sword's cry rang out. The terrifying dragon-shaped sword shadow, the power of the 5 elements, and the chaotic heaven destroyer sword rushed over together. Boom! The power of this sword was too terrifying, and it directly destroyed a large number of the death demonic blades. Between heaven and earth, the sword qi rushed in all directions, making everyone unable to open their eyes. The Yaoguang sage and Morong Qingcheng also used their final trump cards. Thousands of rays of light shrouded the front, and the terrifying energy kept bombarding. It was not until a long time later that the bright light in the sky disappeared. In front, the storm also gradually subsided. Everyone looked forward carefully. They wanted to know what happened to King Yin. Great, he was killed. Many warriors of the sacred land of life cheered, because they found that King Yin was lying on the ground, motionless, and had no breath. The white flame in his eyes had disappeared, and the Yin qi on his body had also disappeared. He became a corpse again. However, the elders of the sacred land gasped. Such a terrifying attack. But the opponent's body did not completely shatter, and only a few wounds appeared. It was too horrifying. But fortunately the opponent was killed. Sure enough, when King Yin died, the surrounding Yin soldiers, and Yin generals also quickly retreated. They entered the corpse one after another and lay down again. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief, and their faces were wild with joy. Great, they finally chased away these Yin soldiers. In front, Lin Xian and the other 4 figures also swayed and returned to their respective camps. Young Lord, Palace Master. Seeing Lin Xian return, the people of Immortal Palace were also very excited, because their palace master was too handsome. Shun Jingqiu was even more excited, and she waved her pink fists. It's not good to stay here for long, let's leave quickly, Lin Xian said. Then, he led the crowd forward quickly. The people of the other sacred lands also left quickly. In the passage behind, when the people of Demon King Palace saw this scene, they also said, let's go. They also followed closely behind. Otherwise, if the Yin soldiers resurrected after the other party left, they would be in trouble. They quickly moved their bodies and followed after him. When the people of Demon King Palace appeared, the people of the great sage sects in front frowned, because they felt a new power joining them. For a moment, countless gazes looked over. Lin Xian also turned his head to look. He was stunned because he saw Yin Ruyu. However, when he saw the strangely shaped cultivators that resembled demons beside the other party, he couldn't help but frown. Elderly said, Palace Master, they are from Demon King Palace. Demon King Palace. It was a sacred ground in the South Mountain. Most of the people there were related to the demon race, but they were basically half demons, or the descendants of mutated species. Most of these people knew the demon race's great abilities, and they were abnormally terrifying. Moreover, their physiques were very strong, and they were not weaker than the warriors of the 4 symbols sacred ground. They were here too. Many people from the sacred lands exclaimed. They did not notice Demon King Palace before, and thought that they did not come. They did not expect them to be following behind. The friends of Demon King Palace were very free. An elder from the Great Evolution Sacred Ground snorted. You want us to lead the way while you reap without sowing? There was no such thing in the world. The people of 5 Elements Palace also darkened their faces. The eyes of the others flickered. They were also not very friendly to the newcomers from Demon King Palace. Firstly, they were humans, and the other party was a half-demon with the bloodline of the demon race. Naturally, they were seen as aliens by the sacred lands. Moreover, the other party was too cunning. He followed behind them, and reaped the benefits without suffering any harm. Chapter 2460. This is the tomb of the demon race's saint. How dare you humans come in here? At this moment, the Demon King Palace's martial artists also roared. Hearing this, the great sage frowned. Demon Saint's tomb? They didn't think so. Who told you that this was the tomb of the demon saint? An elder of the 9 heavens sacred ground said with a cold expression. That's right. Look at this place. It doesn't look like the tomb of the demon race at all. This is obviously the tomb of the human race's saint. *T. The gate at the beginning was written in the language of the demon race. How dare you say that this is not the tomb of the demon race? The Demon King Palace's martial artists couldn't take it anymore and roared. Scales even began to appear on some parts of their bodies. Terrifying demon chi spread out from their bodies. Okay, stop arguing. It's not good to stay here for long. Let's leave first. The Yi family's people stood out. The Wavering Light Sacred Grounds elder also said, let's leave first. After saying that, they led their disciples and walked forward. Seeing this, the other sacred grounds also left. Indeed, who knew if those Yin soldiers would come again? It was better to leave first. Many people snorted, and looked at the Demon King Palace with a trace of coldness in their eyes. The people of the Demon King Palace also glared. Lord, let's go. Elderly asked. Yes. Lin Xian nodded, but he didn't move immediately. Instead, he looked into the distance. He looked at Yin Ruyu. What a coincidence, we meet again. Yes, I didn't expect to see you here. Yin Ruyu also smiled. Her smile stunned everyone around her. Even those Holy Land martial artists who were hostile to the monster emperor before couldn't help but gulp at this moment. What a beautiful woman. Who is she? Is she the saintess of the Demon King Palace? They didn't know, but she was definitely not ordinary. The young man beside her was the saintess of the Demon King Palace. How did this kid know someone from the Demon King Palace? They looked at Lin Xian with a puzzled face. Even the people of the Immortal Palace were surprised. Lord, Elder Li's eyes were filled with doubt. Lin Xian smiled. All right, let's go. He gave Yan Ruyu another look, and then, together with Shen Jingqiu, Morong Qingcheng, and the others from Immortal Palace, walked forward with large steps. Ruyu, who is this brat? Hua Tiandu frowned as he watched Ling Xian and the others leave. There was a cold gleam in his eyes. An old friend. Yan Ruyu said indifferently. She didn't say anything else. Hearing this, Hua Tiandu's brows furrowed even tighter. Old friend? How could the other party have an old friend? The other party's old friend should also be a member of their demon group. Why would it have such a strange relationship with a human boy? Go and find out who this brat is, and what his identity is. Hua Tiandu sent a sound transmission to the people beside him. Whoosh! The three experts from the Demon King Palace behind him disappeared in a flash. This scene was naturally captured by Yan Ruyu, but she did not say anything. Soon, the people from the Demon Monarch Palace also walked forward. After leaving the place where the Yin soldiers were, the main hall appeared in front of them again. And this time, the main hall was clearly divided into many areas, and every place seemed to have an ancient aura. There was something. Seeing this scene, the eyes of the warriors from the Great Sage Land lit up. They moved quickly. The main hall was so big that it was unimaginable. Therefore, these warriors from the Holy Land could not help but speed up. There were fragments here. Not long after, a cry of surprise was heard. One of them was holding a broken shadow in his hand. It seemed to be a fragment of a weapon, and it was very broken. One could tell at a glance that it was from a long time ago. However, everyone was extremely excited. Because there were Dao patterns on the weapon, this was definitely something good. These Dao patterns were passed down from ancient times. If they could comprehend them and engrave them on their weapons, the power would definitely increase by several times. Therefore, at this moment, everyone went crazy. They quickly searched the surroundings. Peacock, elderly, bring some people with you, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Soon, Peacock and elderly led the warriors from the Immortal Palace behind them to search the secret rooms. Xing Tian stayed beside Lin Xian. Shen Jingqiu and Morong Qingcheng also stayed here. Big brother Lin Xian, let's go take a look too. Shen Jingqiu was also very excited. Okay. Lin Xian smiled and nodded. The group also walked forward. Although there were only 4 of them, the strength of the 4 of them was simply too powerful. 3 saints, 1 super expert, and the Crimson Divine Dragon were enough to fend off an army of thousands. That woman again. I'm not going in. Shen Jingqiu saw a figure in front of her and pouted. She was very unhappy. She pulled Lin Xian. Big brother Lin Xian, don't go in either. You little girl, are you jealous? Lin Xian smiled and pinched Shen Jingqiu's little face. Shen Jingqiu was very unhappy. Yes, I'm angry. It turned out that Yan Ruyu and the others were standing in a secret room not far away. Shen Jingqiu was very jealous when she saw Lin Xian and Yan Ruyu's expressions. However, Morong Qingcheng, who was standing on the side, knew something. She asked, Big brother Xian, is this Yan Ryu really an old friend of yours? It should be close. I just don't know what her identity is now. What identity can she have? She must be a demon. Didn't you see her with the people from the Demon Imperial Palace? Chior, don't talk nonsense. Morong Qingcheng shook her head. Oh, okay. Shen Jingqiu was unwilling, but she didn't say anything. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and didn't go in immediately, because he discovered that there was a conflict between the people from the Demon Imperial Palace and the Sacred Land. The people who were in conflict with the Demon Imperial Palace were the people from the 5 Elements Palace. The martial artists of the 5 Elements Palace snorted coldly. People from the Demon Imperial Palace, get out of here. This place belongs to our 5 Elements Palace. Get out. Your 5 Elements Palace is too arrogant. You actually dare to show off in front of our Demon Phoenix Palace? Could it be that you want to die? The experts from the Demon Imperial Palace shouted coldly. One of the elders even snorted coldly. This is the ancient tomb of our demon saint. The ones who should get out are you humans. Demon Saint's ancient tomb? What a joke. Don't flatter yourself. What kind of place is this? Does it show the aura of the demon race? This is clearly the ancient tomb of our human race's saint. Look at these ancient ruins. Do you think they belong to your demon race? Chapter 2461. Let's fight then. Why should I be afraid of you? The people of the Five Elements Palace did not back down. No matter what, they were still a peerless sect. How could they be afraid of these demons? Go to hell. A disciple of the Five Elements Palace attacked. It was a young man. He punched out, and countless stone hands appeared in the sky, blasting towards the people of the Demon Imperial Palace. Courting death. The people of the Demon Imperial Palace were also angry. The other party actually dared to attack them. He was really courting death. At this moment, Hua Tiandu and Yin Ryu did not attack. The elders of the Demon Imperial Palace also did not attack. The bronze bull who spoke before made his move. Boom. He stomped his foot and swung his head. His two horns suddenly enlarged, turning into dozens of meters, and directly smashing into the void. Boom boom boom. It shattered all the stone hands in the sky. Not only that, but its sharp horns also charged forward. Boom. The disciple of the Five Elements Palace who attacked was sent flying. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood, and many of his bones were broken. What Five Elements Palace? Trash. If you dare to be arrogant again, don't blame me for starting a massacre. The Oxhead's voice was cold and carried boundless killing intent. Courting death. Another expert walked out of the Five Elements Palace. It was a woman with a beautiful appearance, and wearing colorful clothes. At this moment, her jade lotus was cold, and her beautiful eyes were filled with endless coldness. Xiao waved his hand, and blue light bloomed on her body, forming a continuous wave. Rain fell from the sky. It covered the sky and covered the earth, sprinkling forward. This was no ordinary rainwater. Every droplet was sparkling and translucent, carrying boundless killing intent. They formed a large blue net that enveloped the Minotaur. You want to hurt me with mere rain? The ox had sneered. He punched out, completely tearing the entire sky apart. The rain that filled the sky was impacted by the energy and kept shaking in the sky. However, this was the power of water, and it carried endless killing intent. Soon, the rain pierced through the void and blasted the ox head's body. Clang 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 clang. Sounds like thunder rang out one after another, and the ox head kept retreating. However, he was not injured. His physique was simply too strong. Ha 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 ha. You want to hurt me with mere rain? You're overestimating yourself. Bitch, go to hell. The Minotaur stretched out a hand and grabbed forward. Ah. The woman's face was pale and her body swayed. However, at this moment, a golden light appeared within the blue light on her body. A golden saber light burst out of his body and slashed forward. Puff. This saber slashed apart all of the attacks and cut open the opponent's palm. Blood dyed the sky red, and the Minotaur cried out in pain. Damn it, how dare you hurt me? Demon Ox Fist. He was truly enraged. Countless terrifying fists appeared in the sky, smashing down like meteors. The entire sky shattered and shrouded the woman. Boom. The golden saber swung and closed, sweeping in all directions. As the two collided, countless sparks erupted. Damn it! Go for me! Seeing this scene, the people from the Demon Royal Palace roared in anger. Several powerful demon kings rushed over. Seeing this scene, the people of the Five Elements Palace also shouted coldly and sent out their experts. Everyone fought together, and terrifying energy swept out in all directions. The entire secret chamber was shaking. Fortunately, there was a strong barbaric aura above the secret chamber, which blocked the terrifying energy impact. Otherwise, not to mention the secret chamber, the entire ancient tomb would be destroyed. Hua Tiandu, come and fight. The Five Elements Saint stepped out, and the power of the Five Elements spread out from his body. Behind him was a Five Elements mountain. She blinked her crescent-shaped eyes. I'm so excited. Hurry up and do it. I can't wait anymore. This little girl liked to fight now. After all, although she was powerful and had reached the Saintess level, but normally, she didn't have many opportunities to fight. Therefore, her actual combat experience wasn't that strong. Now, the little girl urgently wanted to fight to improve herself. Alright, let's go all out. Lin Xian added. After all, The people around him were all at the level of saints. In addition to Dark Red Shinong and Xing Tian, they were definitely incomparably powerful. Although such a team had few people, they weren't weak at all compared to the two major forces inside. Let's wait and let the people inside exhaust themselves. When they're almost done fighting, we'll go. Chapter 2462. The battle in front was extremely intense. No one from the Five Elements Palace, or the Demon King Palace, was willing to back down. After all, the temptation of 6 Dao patterns was simply too great for them. In an instant, the sky was filled with dazzling light as terrifying auras filled the air. All kinds of weapons collided in the sky, making intense sounds. Every collision tore the sky apart, causing huge cracks to appear one after another. Those who passed by felt their scalps go numb when they saw such an intense battle. They didn't dare to get close at all and stayed far away. Therefore, they didn't know that there was a stone painting with 6 Dao patterns inside. Among them, the 5 elements Saint and Huatiandu were the fiercest. Both of them were saints and were extremely powerful. If they attacked now, they would definitely be able to destroy one side. The martial artists who were close to them exploded into a bloody mist. Boom! An elder from the 5 Elements Palace was caught off guard and was hit by the shockwave. Half of his body instantly split open. He screamed as his scalp went numb. He immediately retreated. Half of his body was already broken, and his internal organs were exposed. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The elder from the 5 Elements Palace used a secret technique to quickly heal his broken body. Soon he was back to normal. However, the elder's face was extremely pale. At their level, they could recover from ordinary injuries. At the Invincible King level, they were even more powerful. As long as their soul wasn't destroyed, they could be reborn. It was said that at the Saint level, they were even more terrifying. Even if their physical body and soul were destroyed, they could be reborn as long as there was a drop of blood. Although they couldn't do that now, as long as it wasn't a fatal injury, they could still recover. It was just that the consumption was greater. The elder recovered and let out a furious roar. He led the 3 young disciples and charged forward once again. This time, they stared at Yin Ryu, because they realized that there was no one around her. Kill. The elder was an almighty, and the 3 young disciples behind him were also almighty geniuses. At this moment, the 4 of them attacked together, and the scene was extremely terrifying. In an instant, they tore through the void and arrived in front of Yin Ryu. Yin Ryu raised her head to look at this scene, and the corners of her mouth curled up in disdain. Buzz! Countless amounts of energy gathered behind her. It formed a pair of golden wings. She gently fanned them. Swoosh! The light in the sky turned into golden divine swords that pierced through the void. Boom! Boom! The golden swords that filled the sky enveloped the 4 people. Ah! Damn it! The elder from the 5 Elements Palace was sent flying again. There were 6 golden divine swords piercing through his body. His entire body was covered in cracks, and he almost fell apart. As for the 3 disciples behind him, they were killed with a single slash. Damn it! How could she be so strong? The elders of the 5 Elements Palace were stunned. Who is this person? Holy Maiden of the Demon King Palace? But that shouldn't be the case. Even if she was the Holy Maiden, it was impossible for her to severely injure him in one move. When the others saw this scene, they were all stunned. Everyone in the 5 Stars Palace looked at Yin Ryu, their scalps going numb. Originally, they had wanted to kill this peerless beauty, but now, they no longer dared to do so. The strength this woman displayed was even more terrifying than Huatiandis. In the distance, Lin Xian and the others who were hiding in the void cried out in surprise when they saw this scene. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He didn't expect Yin Ryu to be so powerful. She had probably surpassed the average saint and reached the level of a top saint. This girl was so fierce. The dark red divine dragon was also shocked. Those golden divine swords made it tremble a little. It carefully sensed it and then said, "Boy, this girl is not simple. The bloodline in her body is not ordinary. I feel that her bloodline seems to be even stronger than that of the Demon King Palace's saint. But I don't know what it is exactly." Morong Qingqing and Shin Jingqiu also had serious expressions. Beside them, Xing Tian's eyes flickered. he suggested. Young master, it's best for us to launch a blitzkrieg attack. We can't be entangled with them. He realized that there were too many powerhouses from the two holy lands. No matter how powerful they were, if they were trapped, it would be difficult for them to escape. Okay, let's wait a little longer. When they're almost done fighting, we'll make our move. Ruffian Long, set up the array first. Let's work together and not separate. We'll take the treasures directly. After that, we'll use the array to teleport. Also, don't use the ultimate techniques of your holy lands. Don't expose our identities. Got it. Everyone nodded. You've made me excited. The dark red divine dragon chuckled and took out 5 or 6 arrays. The battle in front of them was almost over. Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "Let's go." Everyone turned into a torrent and rushed over. The people from the 5 Elements Palace and the Demon King Palace, who were fighting in front of them, suddenly frowned, and their expressions became extremely unsightly. That was because they discovered that a powerful and violent force was surging toward them. Damn it! Oh no! Someone is coming! They wanted to counterattack, but soon, they were all blasted away, flying backwards. Many people's bodies directly split open. The weaker ones were directly blasted into a bloody mist. The stronger ones were also injured. In an instant, a vacuum appeared in the hall. Damn it! Who's that? Those people roared angrily. They did not expect that someone would dare to come and snatch the treasures. This is unforgivable. However, they could not see clearly at all. There were countless black clouds in front of them that enveloped everything. The souls and eyes of those elders could not escape at all. Damn it, get lost. Seeing the other party rushing over, a green figure from the Demon King Palace flew up. He had a pair of lightning wings behind his back, and his body was surrounded by a sea of lightning. There were scales on his face. It was a thunderbird. At this moment, he was charging toward the black mist in front of him. Before he got close, his body emitted crackling sounds, and countless lightning bolts fell in all directions. The sky was directly shattered, and the violent sea of lightning shrouded the black mist. Humph! Go to hell! This thunderbird was also a powerful sky pride of the Demon King Palace, and he had the bloodline of a mutated species. Boom boom boom! A low voice sounded, and a palace appeared in the black mist, soaring into the sky. Chapter 2463. The people from 5 Elements Palace looked gloomy. Damn it! You're from the 9 Heavens sacred ground. They roared crazily with ferocious expressions. However, a sneer came from the black mist. No one answered. The black mist rushed toward the mural at an even faster speed. The power was so terrifying that it directly shattered the void. Damn it, this is bad. His target is the stone mural. Everyone exclaimed and tried to stop him. Soon someone screamed, "Damn it! Where are the 2 fragments of the ancient treasures?" They found that the 2 fragments at the bottom of the mural were gone. This made them go crazy. After all, those were ancient treasures with Dao runes inscribed on them. They did not know that Lin Xian and the others had taken them away. They thought that someone from both sides had secretly taken them away. If they knew the truth, they would definitely vomit blood. That's right, Lin Xian and the others were in the black mist. They didn't use their best skills, but concealed their identities. Among them, Lin Xian was more skilled. The great dragon sword soul simulated everything. He had seen Jiuxiao Seiko fight before, so he could simulate some of the 9 Heavens sacred grounds skills. Damn it, get lost. Countless people attacked crazily. However, a terrifying array formation appeared in the black mist and shrouded the surrounding people. These were all terrifying killing arrays. As soon as they appeared, flames, lightning, and storms all swept over. This caused the people who had just arrived to dodge and defend themselves. Boom! In an instant, many people did not have time to care about the black mist. However, there were also experts among them. A man with an elephant trunk rushed over and punched out. At the same time, his elephant trunk rolled up and the sky exploded. A terrifying storm swept over. This was the giant demon elephant. He had the bloodline of an ancient giant demon beast. The power of his attack was unimaginable. His strength had reached the level of a prospective saint. Unfortunately, he encountered Lin Xian and the others this time. And it was not just one person. Three geniuses and two peerless experts attacked together. Boom! The giant demon elephant's body exploded into pieces in an instant. What? The giant demon elephant was killed? The Demon King Palace's people were all stunned. How was this possible? Who was it? Could it be that he was an invincible king? The giant demonic elephant was extremely powerful. Even if the opponent was a holy prince or an elder, it was impossible for them to kill it with a single palm strike. Not good. They were not alone. The elders of the Demon Imperial Palace roared in anger. They realized that the other party's strength was strong, but it was obvious that they were not of the same attribute. Evidently, a lot of people had made their moves. For a moment, these elders also stepped forward to resist. The people from the Five Elements Palace also joined in the fight. The Five Elements Saint and Huatiandu also stopped attacking. The two of them also tried to intercept him. Many experts blocked the black fog. Within the black fog, Lin Xian growled and attacked. Xing Tian was the first to attack. He moved his fist, and a terrifying light illuminated the sky. This punch was a type of lightning fist. It was called the Thunder Tiger Fist. The lightning that filled the sky interweaved to form a lightning tiger, shattering the void. The terrifying light pierced through the 9 heavens. Lin Xian also made his move. He controlled the black palace in the sky and pressed it down. It was like a demonic mountain, shattering the void. The qi and blood in the bodies of those cultivators were surging. Their internal organs were severely injured. It was too terrifying. Who was this person? They resisted madly. At this moment, the dark red divine dragon made his move. The dragon blood in his body surged and transformed into a few giant pythons. He did not transform into a dragon, because he wanted these people to think that it was the myriad poison sect who had attacked. As expected, the giant pythons carried his dragon blood and were extremely corrosive. Therefore, as soon as they appeared, they attacked the people from the Five Elements Palace and the Demon Imperial Palace. Sizzling sounds came from those people's bodies. Their flesh and bones melted quickly as if snow had encountered the sun. These people screamed and rolled in the air. The others roared in anger. Damn it, it's poisonous. It's the myriad poison sect. Could it be that the myriad poison sect and the 9 heavens sacred ground had joined forces? Humph. Huatiandu snorted coldly. His voice was like thunder, resounding through the sky. He slapped down with his palm. Countless demonic runes shone in his palm, as if the palm of a heavenly demon had descended from the sky. It completely enveloped all of the black mist. Huatiandu was extremely terrifying. As the saint of the Demon Imperial Palace, not only was he powerful, but he also had a top-notch bloodline power. The Five Elements Saint also made his move. He struck out a 5 Elements mountain and collided with the demonic palace in the sky. Huatiandu faced Xing Tian, while the 5 Elements Saint faced Lin Xian. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. However, until now, they still did not know who was inside the black mist. At this moment, Morong Qingqing and Shin Jingqiu also made their move. Another 2 waves of violent energy surged out, causing everyone's expression to change. Damn it, how could there be so many experts? These elders were stunned. The 5 Elements Saint and Huatiandu also had gloomy expressions. This was because they realized that the 2 new forces that appeared were definitely not weaker than them. They were at least at the level of a saint or a peerless expert. How could the other party have so many experts? They had joined forces. Which sacred grounds and sects had joined forces? They did not know. They roared like crazy. However, they could not defeat Lin Xian and Xing Tian, not to mention attacking Shin Jingqiu and Morong Qingqing. In addition to the violent array formation around them, the battle was very intense. However, although these people were angry, they still heaved a sigh of relief. This was because they realized that they had stopped these people. Although these people were strong, they did not have many people. If both parties attacked together, it would be enough to stop the other party. As long as they controlled the other party and restrained them, they could slowly make the other party reveal their true forms. However, this was a good idea, but they did not see it. Behind them, near the mural, a white light flashed. Immediately after, a white little monkey appeared in midair. It looked at the mural in front of it and grinned. In the next moment, Little White waved its little paws and grabbed the stone engraving. Then it used its strength and broke it off the wall. Whoosh, it kept it in the treasure bowl. The whole process was very fast. In addition, no one thought that someone would secretly steal it. Therefore, when they came back to their senses, they only saw a flash of white light. Ah, damn it! The treasure map was stolen. What? Hearing this, the people of the Five Elements Palace and Demon Imperial Palace stopped attacking. They all turned their heads to look behind them. They realized that the wall behind them was empty. The treasure map with 6 Dao patterns had disappeared. Damn it, how could this be? Everyone roared crazily. Ah. Chapter 2464. Hua Tiandu was equally shocked. His purple hair fluttered like a devil as countless purple lightning bolts appeared on his body. Once the lightning bolts appeared, it instantly enveloped the entire space and sealed off every inch of space. A cold voice rang out. No matter who you are, you must die today. No one in this world can save you if you dare to touch what I want. Hearing this voice, some people felt a chill in their hearts. Yenria's eyes flickered, but she did not make a move. Actually, she wanted to make a move, but she saw the little white monkey. She even saw the entire process of the little white monkey stealing the treasure map. Therefore, she did not make a move. Instead, her eyes flickered and a mysterious smile appeared on her lips. So it was him. Yenryu said indifferently. Then she stood aside. Her body emitted rays of light that blocked all the energy and waves. However, she had no intention of making a move. Boom! The battle ahead was still ongoing. However, it was obvious that the 5-star saint and Hua Tiandu were both provoked. Especially Hua Tiandu, who was extremely furious. His body was filled with murderous intent, because he could not tolerate that someone dared to steal the treasure he wanted in front of him. His eyes emitted purple lightning that pierced through the void, but it could not pierce through the black mist. Go! Seeing that the little white monkey had succeeded, Lin Xian was overjoyed in the black mist. Whoosh! They turned around and retreated backward. You want to leave? Not so easy. Hua Tiandu was furious. He was like a thunder god as the lightning bolts on his body spread in all directions and completely sealed off the entire sky. Buzz! His eyes stared at the black mist. How dare you use lightning in front of me? Go to hell! His opponent was Xing Tian. Previously, Xing Tian had used the Thunder Tiger Fist, which formed a lightning tiger in the sky that bared its fangs and brandished its claws. As for Hua Tiandu, he had not used the Thunder Fist technique previously. However, he finally could not hold it in anymore. His body was surrounded by lightning bolts. He was a lightning-type martial artist, and his lightning was extremely terrifying. It was his inheritance and bloodline. Today, I will let you know what the true divine lightning is. Hua Tiandu's voice was cold. As his eyes moved, the purple lightning split the void and formed a sea of lightning. With a palm strike, thousands of lightning bolts roared and countless lightning runes flickered on his palm. In the sky, Xing Tian's lightning tiger was swallowed in an instant, and then torn into pieces. This guy's lightning was very special. Xing Tian also furrowed his brows. He wanted to change his cultivation technique, but at this moment Lin Xian said, "Don't fight him head-on. Let's leave first." If he wanted to fight, there would be plenty of opportunities in the future. Yes, Xing Tian didn't attack again. Instead, he defended together and prepared to retreat. Ruffian Dragon, it's all up to you now. Don't worry, I've already prepared it. The dark red dragon took out a set of array formations. Wang. The formation enveloped them completely. The void split open, and everyone disappeared. Seeing that the other party did not attack again, Hua Tiandu sneered. He thought that the other party was afraid. Indeed, no one could surpass him in terms of lightning. But in the next moment he frowned. That was because he discovered that the other party had actually torn through the void and disappeared. Damn it, he escaped. Purple lightning purgatory. Lock it down. Hua Tiandu bellowed as 100,000 lightning bolts surged forth, forming a lightning purgatory that completely sealed off the entire space. He wouldn't give the other party any chance to escape. However, the space created by the dark red dragon was indeed mysterious and extremely fast. Therefore, Hua Tiandu's purple demon purgatory couldn't lock down the other party at all. The Five Elements Saint also raised his hand and struck out with the Five Elements Mountain. It covered a corner of the sky as he tried to suppress the space. But he also failed. Damn it, he managed to escape. The Five Elements Saint gritted his teeth. Hua Tiandu roared at the sky as the lightning bolts on his body shot out in all directions. Those from the Five Elements Palace vomited blood and were sent flying. Damn it, I don't care who you are. They'll definitely kill you. 9 Heavens Holy Ground, 10,000 Poison Sect, they'll remember you. The elders from the Five Elements Palace also shouted angrily. Let's go. The Five Elements Saint waved his hand and was about to leave with a gloomy face. But in the next moment he frowned. That was because he discovered that Hua Tiandu was blocking his way again. Get lost. The Five Elements Saint shouted coldly. He was in a bad mood. However, Hua Tiandu was filled with killing intent. Damn it, it's all because of you idiots from the Five Elements Palace. How dare you stop me? You made me lose my treasure. All of you must die. As he spoke, Hua Tiandu cast the Thunder Purgatory again and enveloped the Five Elements Saint and the people from the Five Elements Palace. You're courting death. The people from the Five Elements Palace were also furious. The Five Elements Saint even shouted coldly. How could they be blamed for Hua Tiandu's entry? They were the ones who found the treasure first. If anyone were to be angry, it should be the Five Elements Palace. Hua Tiandu, you're too arrogant. Do you really think I'm afraid of you? The Five Elements power on the Five Elements Saint burned fiercely as the terrifying Five Elements Mountain appeared behind him and emitted a terrifying aura. Boom! The two of them started fighting. The people from the Demon King Palace and the Five Elements Palace started fighting again. This time, it was even more intense than before. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others used the space array to tear open the void and teleport out. Whoosh! They appeared in a corner. They looked around and realized that not many people were paying attention to them. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand, and these people moved again and changed many positions. They then stopped. The black aura on their bodies dissipated and everyone smiled. This thing can't be separated. Let's quickly comprehend it. Lin Xian took out the treasure map. In the next moment, Morong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and the others all sat down. The dark red divine dragon formed countless defensive arrays. The group quickly comprehended the treasure map. Among them, Shen Jingqiu and Morong Qingqing looked even more solemn. Mysterious runes flickered in their eyes, and the aura on their bodies was extremely terrifying. The most important thing for them was to completely memorize the 6 Dao patterns on the treasure map. They couldn't afford to make any mistakes. Shen Jingqiu and Morong Qingqing were quickly memorizing the treasure map. Lin Xian's eyes also flickered. However, at this moment he suddenly frowned, and a cold killing intent appeared in his eyes. Whoosh! He decisively made his move. With a wave of his hand, the sword chi light pierced through the distance. Boom! Boom! 2 deep sounds rang out, and 2 figures were shaken out. Their faces were filled with fear. They didn't expect the other party to discover them. Demon race? Seeing the 2 figures, Lin Xian frowned. Beside him, Xing Tian's face was also gloomy. Why were the demon race following them? Were they planning to launch a sneak attack? Xing Tian, you continue to stay here and protect us. I'll go and deal with these 2 guys. Yes. Xing Tian stood up and protected Morong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu. Lin Xian's figure flashed, and he quickly chased after them. Chapter 2465. The 2 demon race powerhouses saw that the situation was not good and hurriedly fled. Whoosh! However, their path was blocked because a figure was faster than them and directly blocked their path. So fast! The person on the left exclaimed, while the demon race powerhouse on the right snorted coldly and quickly attacked. Bang! The pitch-black claw lashed out with a terrifying aura, shrouding Lin Xian in an instant. Boom! Lin Xian's gaze was cold as he struck out with his palm. The sun, moon, and stars revolved in his palm and collided with the terrifying black palm. A terrifying power erupted. In the next moment, the demon race powerhouse screamed because his black palm was directly obliterated. Not only that, The sun-moon divine palm also enveloped him. Damn it! The demon race powerhouse roared and charged in all directions. However, he could not break through at all. Whoosh! Two black wings suddenly grew out from his back, and his face became ferocious. Many black patterns appeared on his body, and he looked like a human-shaped bat. Bat King. This was an expert from the demon race. With a furious roar, he opened his bloody mouth and directly crushed the stars in the sky. Want to trap me? You're overestimating yourself. Bat King sneered and wanted to escape. However, in the next moment, an even more terrifying palm slapped down and directly smashed his body, shattering all his bones. With a bang, Bat King fell to the ground and was completely enveloped by the sword of earth. If you dare to move again, I can guarantee that you'll suffer a fate worse than death. Lin Xian's cold voice sounded. He turned his head and stared at the other person. When the other person saw this scene, he roared and the scales on his body rapidly grew. A tail appeared on his back, and a single horn grew on his forehead. That was Giant Snake King. When he saw that the situation was not right, he immediately shattered the void and wanted to leave. That was because the other party's methods were too terrifying, far beyond his imagination. Lin Xian sneered and shattered the void with a punch. Then his finger reached into the black hole and grabbed Giant Snake King. He exerted force in his palm and crushed all the bones in Giant Snake King's body. He also sealed his power and threw him to the ground. The two powerful demon kings were struggling furiously, but there was nothing they could do. They could only stare angrily in front of them. However, Lin Xian did not care at all. He turned his head and looked at another void. There was no one there. However, Lin Xian said in a deep voice, "Come out, I know you are there. Kid, I have to say, your strength has indeed exceeded my expectations." Another figure appeared from the void. This was also a demon clan powerhouse. His aura was even stronger than that of Bat King and Giant Snake King combined. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. He could feel that the other party's aura was very strong, not weaker than the Holy Sun's. Brat, you're dead meat. Although Lord Meng-Chi was not the saint, he was the youngest elder. His strength is beyond your imagination. That's right. Our master Meng-Chi possesses the bloodline of the ancient Qiong-Chi. Do you really think you can stand a chance against him? The two demon kings below roared angrily, trying to scare Lin Xian away. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The youngest elder? The bloodline of the ancient Qiong-Chi. No wonder he had such a strong aura. Brat, now you know how powerful I am. Let go of my people obediently. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Meng-Chi said coldly. He looked to be in his 30s and was extremely handsome. At this moment he stood in the sky, exuding a strong aura. He was very confident and proud. Although he was not the Holy Son, he was an elder. Moreover, he was the youngest elder. He did not even care about the other holy sons and holy daughters. This was because he felt that no one could compare to him. After all, he possessed the bloodline of the ancient Qiong-Chi. That was a peerless ancient beast. After hearing this, Lin Xian sneered. That's all? You want to scare me? You think too highly of yourself. You only possess a trace of the bloodline of the Qiong-Chi. You're not the real Qiong-Chi. Do you think you can be arrogant in front of me? As for letting the two of them go, that's impossible. Brat, you don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. If that's the case, don't blame me for being ruthless. Meng-Chi's face darkened. His cold eyes emitted a terrifying murderous intent. When he struck out his palm, a terrifying light lit up the sky. The entire space shook. It had to be said that Meng-Chi was very powerful. He was definitely not weaker than the Holy Sun. At this moment, the power of his palm was terrifying. This was a flaming palm. It was like a cloud of fire rolling over. Humph! A mere elder of the Demon King Palace dares to attack me? Lin Xian sneered. He waved his palm and struck out as well. Boom! 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 The two collided, and the surrounding space instantly shattered. The flames in the sky surged like a sea of fire rushing in all directions. At this moment, the terrifying fight alarmed the people in the vicinity, causing them to be terrified as they watched. Who are they? Why are they fighting here? How terrifying. Could it be that they're snatching something? Let's stay away. This is at least a battle between holy sons. It's not something we can participate in. Discussions broke out, and the crowd instantly distanced themselves. Nearby, the dark red divine dragon set up an array to defend. This prevented the aftermath of the energy from affecting Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingcheng. After the attack, Meng Qi was surprised because he realized that the other party had blocked his attack. It really surprised him. I didn't expect you to know fire-based techniques. However, this little fire of yours is nothing in front of me. Today I'll let you know what real fire is. Meng Qi's voice was cold. As he opened and closed his eyes, there was a mysterious flame that instantly melted the void. The terrifying temperature made people tremble. Boom! Another punch split the sky and earth. This flaming fist directly shattered the void. Ordinary mighty figures couldn't survive under his fist at all. They would probably burn instantly and turn into ashes. Even a peerless mighty figure wouldn't dare to resist. Buzz! Lin Xian's aura surged. Sword Qi circled around him. At the same time, the dragon sword spiritual domain rose and fell, enveloping him. The sword Qi quickly evolved and formed a fire qilin. Roar! This time, the tremor went straight to the 9 heavens. The entire hall shook. Space cracks crawled in all directions like pythons. Everyone around was shaken to the point that their blood was boiling. Many people even knelt on the ground, unable to stand up. How terrifying! What kind of people were fighting against each other? It was normal for people to fight. This was because there were fights in no less than hundreds of places in the entire hall. Some places were also fighting until the sky fell, and the earth cracked. They were all fighting for the fragments of the ancient treasure. However, it was rare to see such an earth-shattering fight. These were obviously 2 peerless experts. Who were they? They were all stunned. Chapter 2466. Their eyes lit up and turned into rainbows. They looked into the void and pierced through the flames. When they saw the 2 figures fighting in the flames, they were so scared that their scalps went numb. It was them. He saw 2 figures. They knew Lin Xian very well. However, they didn't know the expert from the Demon King Palace. But from the other party's skills, he was definitely a top existence. I recognize him. He's the youngest elder of the Demon King Palace. His name is Meng Qi, and he seems to have the bloodline of Qiongqi. What, the bloodline of the ancient peerless demon beast Qiongqi? Heavens, this person is too terrifying. Judging from his young appearance, he was definitely a top-notch expert. That's right. That kid from the Immortal Palace actually provoked the people from the Demon King Palace again. He's really bold. Where are the experts around him? Why aren't they here? Why did he attack himself? They were probably fighting for the Dao pattern. Didn't they see that the people from the Demon King Palace didn't appear? Only Meng Qi was there. But thinking about it, that kid shouldn't be able to resist this time. After all, the bloodline of Qiongqi wasn't a joke. It would be best if he was killed. This way they would have one less enemy. Many people sneered. However, the elders were frowning. Would Lin Xian be killed so easily? It was hard to say. However, they didn't think that Lin Xian was 100% confident that he could defeat the other party. After all, Qiongqi was an extremely terrifying existence. Although Meng Qi only had a portion of Qiongqi's bloodline, he was still incredible. Moreover, he was talented and became an elder at such a young age. This was definitely a recognition of his strength. Just as these people were discussing, Lin Xian and Meng Qi had already exchanged dozens of blows. The 2 of them fought fiercely. Bang! 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 Another shocking attack. The 2 of them retreated and confronted each other. Kid, your sword Qi is not bad. It's very sharp, but it's still not enough in front of me. I'll let you know what a peerless divine fire is. Meng Qi raised his right hand. In his palm a purple flame jumped. Every time it jumped, those elders' eyelids would tremble violently. Could this be the fire of Qiongqi's bloodline? It must be. Otherwise, it wouldn't have given me such a huge shock. The elders swallowed their saliva. It seemed that the power of Meng Qi's bloodline was much stronger than they had imagined. Even the Qiongqi's bloodline flame could be condensed. This was heaven-defying. Brat, provoking me is your biggest mistake. Now go to hell. Meng Qi waved his hand, holding Qiongqi's flame of bloodline, and charged at Yifutian. The purple flames danced and turned into a long purple saber that slashed down. Boom! The sky split open and flames danced. The entire space was enveloped by purple flames. This saber strike was incomparably terrifying. It was as if the saber of a deity had descended. It had the power to look down on the world and destroy the world. From the looks of it, he wanted to kill Lin Xian with one strike. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly, his expression incomparably cold. Whoosh! He pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword. He waved the ancient sword, and a terrifying sword light shot up into the sky. It was like a divine sword piercing through the void. It clashed with the purple flames and the saber light. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated, causing the sword chi to dance together with the black flames. These were all swords of fire, extremely terrifying. The two of them fought again, and all the elders around were stunned. What was going on? How could the other party resist Qianqi's flame of bloodline? How did this brat do it? What exactly was that black flame of his? How could it be so powerful? How could this brat have such a terrifying flame? It was no weaker than Qianqi's bloodline. These elders widened their eyes in disbelief. No. An elder from the sacred ground's eyes flickered, and there were mysterious runes on his body. His power did not seem to be flames. Could it be that he was using a great divine power to simulate a terrifying flame? He was trying to slap Meng Qi in the face. In front of him, Meng Qi's expression also changed because he did not expect the other party's flame to be so powerful that it could compete with his flame of bloodline. This was too unbelievable. Humph! He snorted coldly, and the purple flame shone even brighter. It even formed a blurry shadow that crashed forward, trying to kill the other party. However, it only pushed the other party back a few steps, and did not hurt him at all. Damn brat, I don't believe it. Go to hell. Meng Qi roared crazily. The purple flames on his body jumped and gradually condensed into a Qiongqi. It seemed that he wanted to show his great divine power. Qiongqi roared, and the purple flames formed a shadow of heaven and earth that floated in the air. Then it opened its bloody mouth and let out a horrified roar. This roar contained a strong bloodline power, as if the real Qiongqi had been resurrected. The roar shook the 9 heavens. Heaven and earth shattered. The terrifying energy swept in all directions, and the surrounding martial artists were all sent flying, vomiting blood. Even the elders were pale, and kept retreating. What a terrifying pressure, what a terrifying bloodline power. It's over, that brat is dead. At such a close distance he can't dodge at all. And he probably can't fight back either. The others were discussing. That was Meng Qi's goal. He did not believe that the other party could withstand it. Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he felt the pressure. Bang! A loud dragon roar came from his body to fight back. Roar bang! The roar shook the 9 heavens. Everyone vomited blood again and retreated, their faces full of horror. Damn it, what is that sound? These people were crazy. In the sky, 2 sound waves collided, tearing everything apart. A huge crack appeared in the void, causing the entire sky to tremble. At this moment, everyone could not stand still, and their blood was boiling. They stopped fighting, and looked into the distance in shock. In another side hall, the people of 5 Elements Palace and Demon King Palace were fighting. Suddenly, a furious roar roared, shaking these people until they vomited blood. The people of 5 Elements Palace changed their expressions, and the martial artists of Demon King Palace were even more shocked. It was Elder Meng Qi. He actually used the Qiongqi roar. What happened to him? The people of Demon King Palace were also stunned. The Qiongqi roar was a great divine power. With Elder Meng Qi's strength, he would not use it under normal circumstances. They thought that he must have encountered a great enemy. However, they were not worried. No matter who the enemy was, as long as they used the Qiongqi roar, the other party would definitely be destroyed. However, immediately after, a loud and clear dragon roar completely overturned them. These people's expressions changed. Dragon roar. It's the royal family. It must be the royal family. They roared crazily, but they did not know which royal family it was. This time, the 4 royal families were here. The experts of Great Xia, Julie Tai, and Divine Wind all had the aura of the dragon. Which royal family was it that fought Elder Mengqi? They did not know. Chapter 2467. Which royal family was it that fought Elder Mengqi? They didn't know. They wanted to go over and watch, but the people from Five Elements Palace blocked them. Wanna leave? Not so easy. Compensate us for our losses first. They naturally guessed that the other party's elder was threatened. They wouldn't let the people from Demon King Palace go to help. It would be best if the other party's elder died. That way they would feel better. Damn it, get out of here. The people from Demon King Palace roared angrily. However, at this moment, another earth-shattering dragon roar sounded. The people from Demon King Palace were all stunned. Many of them trembled and prostrated on the ground. The elders also gritted their teeth and resisted with difficulty. Huatianda's body erupted with light, making him look like a sun. He resisted the dragon roar. A mysterious power appeared in Yin Ruya's body. A mysterious rune appeared between her brows and instantly dissolved the dragon roar. Obviously, her bloodline power was far beyond everyone's imagination. The dragon roar and Qiongqi's roar couldn't threaten her at all. However, the others couldn't. They were suppressed in an instant. At this moment, the people from the Four Empires were also very confused. They weren't together, but each of them was in a different side hall. Therefore, they also did not know which dynasty had done it. In the main hall, terrifying roars collided, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Bang bang. Pfft. In the sky full of light, a figure flew out and spat out a mouthful of blood. This figure was Mengqi. His face was pale, and his body was stained with blood. His face was full of shock. Impossible. Damn it, how could he withstand it? Mengqi was about to go crazy. Not only did the other party resist his Qiongqi roar, but he was also injured. What was that sound coming from the other party's body? Dragon roar? Damn it. Why did the other party have a dragon roar? The other party wasn't from the royal family, so where did the dragon roar come from? He was confused. Moreover, he couldn't believe it at all. Even the people from the Four Empires couldn't make such a terrifying dragon roar. Unless it was the princes of the Four Empires, who had an extremely terrifying aura of the dragon. Only then could they resist his Qiongqi roar. However, it was impossible to injure him. Then, there was only one possibility left. Damn it, could it be that this brat has the bloodline of dragons? But how is that possible? The other party was clearly a human. How could he possess the bloodline of dragons? He couldn't figure it out, and was about to go crazy. In front of him, a sword light flashed, instantly splitting the sound waves and energy that filled the sky. Lin Xian slowly walked over. He held the killing sword in his hand, and a baleful aura emanated from his body as he coldly stared at his opponent. Do you think your bloodline power is enough to suppress me? You've always been the one who overestimated yourself. As he spoke, he brandished his sword. The sword chi was like a rainbow, densely packed in the sky and on the ground. Thousands of sword chi slashed forward. In an instant, it enveloped Mengqi, who was in the void. Damn it, Qiongqi, kill. Die for me. Mengqi formed a seal with his hands. The flames on his body danced, and the purple shadow appeared again. With a roar, he charged over. He was like a purple streak of light that streaked across the sky, shattering the sword light that filled the sky. Although Mengqi only had a trace of the bloodline, it was enough to dominate the crowd. But this time he miscalculated. This was because Lin Xian was using the great dragon sword soul. It was an offensive saint art between heaven and earth. In an instant, the terrifying purple shadow was destroyed by the endless sword light. It dimmed and then disappeared into the void. Damn it! How could this be? Mengqi couldn't believe it, and shook his head frantically. That was the power of his bloodline. But it was destroyed by the other party. What kind of sword chi was that? Who was the other party? There was a dragon's roar, and such a terrifying sword chi? Perhaps even the Yi family's sacred son wasn't so terrifying. Damn it, I don't believe it. Kai Tian seal. Mengqi roared, his black hair fluttering. He put his hands together and formed a strange seal. Together with the bloodline fire, he rushed forward. One blow blew up the sky and earth. It was as if the sky and earth were being split apart. The surrounding elders trembled. It was over. Lin Xian's voice was cold. A dragon-shaped shadow appeared on the ancient sword. He waved the long sword. The 5 elements combined, and the shadow of the dragon sword quickly slashed forward. A 5-colored divine dragon collided with the Kai-Tian seal in the sky. It was too terrifying. Their attacks collided, and the entire sky cracked open. Terrifying energy slapped in all directions like waves. The bright light made it impossible for people to open their eyes. They could only see it through their souls. Ah! At this time, a scream was heard. Then, Meng Qi spat out blood and flew backward. His body was split in half, and one of his arms was cut off. What? Meng Qi was injured, and he was seriously injured. Those people were stunned and couldn't believe it. That was the youngest elder of the Demon King Palace, and he had the Qiongqi bloodline. He was extremely terrifying. Now, he was seriously injured. For a moment they couldn't imagine. Meng Qi screamed and turned into a purple flowing light, fleeing into the distance. Want to leave? Sky-shattering. Chaotic pattern. God-slaying. Another 3 streaks of sharp sword light completely enveloped Meng Qi. Meng Qi spat out blood again, and his injuries were even more serious. However, he didn't die and still escaped. Lin Xian used the heavenly dragon's 8 steps and quickly chased after him. However, at this time, an even more terrifying vibration was heard. The whole sky seemed to be overturned. They didn't doubt that this energy could kill anyone. Feeling the change in this energy, Lin Xian's expression changed. He didn't chase after him. After all, the other party was seriously injured and was no match for him. Now he had to protect Morong Qingqing and Shen Jingxiu. Whoosh! He stopped and landed beside the 2 girls. At the same time, he looked around vigilantly. That was because the power of the vibrations was too terrifying. At this moment, not only did Lin Xian stop fighting, but the hundreds of fighting places in the entire hall also stopped. On the other side, in the side hall, the people of the 5 Elements Palace and the Demon King Palace also separated and stopped fighting. Their faces were filled with fear as they looked around. What kind of energy was this? It was too terrifying. It was beyond their imagination. For a moment, everyone was discussing. They stopped searching and set off toward the main hall. The people of the 5 Elements Palace turned and left, and the people of the Demon King Palace followed closely behind. However, in the next moment, their expressions became extremely ugly, because a figure in a sorry state came to their side. Elder Meng Qi. Oh God. He actually suffered such a serious injury. At this moment, Elder Meng Qi's body was broken and his face was pale. Blood dyed his body red and one of his arms was missing. Chapter 2468. Elder Meng Qi's body was broken, and his face was pale. Blood dyed his body red, and one of his arms disappeared without a trace. If it was any more serious, he would have been killed. Elder Meng Qi, are you alright? The warriors of the Demon Imperial Palace quickly went up and surrounded him. At the same time they fed him pills. Meng Qi's face was pale as he gritted his teeth. He was really terrified. Because under normal circumstances, so what if he lost an arm? It could grow back in an instant. His injuries could also be healed instantly. One had to know that their demon bloodline was very strong to begin with. But now he couldn't do it. There was a terrifying sword intent left on his wound, preventing his broken arm from regenerating. It was already very good that he could resist the sword intent with difficulty. Unless he erased the sword intent, he would not be able to recover. Otherwise, his injuries would become more and more serious. This made him even more terrified. What kind of sword technique did the other party use? How could it be so terrifying? When the people of the Demon Imperial Palace saw this situation, their faces were also solemn. Damn it! Who was it? Which dynasty was it from? Was it the Great Xia dynasty? Because they knew that the Great Xia dynasty had an extreme weapon, the Golden Sword. Therefore, there must be an extreme weapon imitation among the people of the Great Xia dynasty this time. Perhaps these sword chi were to prevent the Golden Sword from injuring him. It wasn't someone from the Great Xia dynasty. Meng Qi swallowed some pills and recovered quite a bit. At least, he temporarily suppressed the injuries in his body. He gritted his teeth and said, "It's the kid that the saint asked us to monitor." What? Are you talking about that Lin Xian from the Immortal Palace? How could he have such a terrifying sword technique? That's not right. It shouldn't be. Was he also the one who let out the dragon roar earlier? How could he have the aura of the Tao of Dragons? The people of the Demon Imperial Palace were stunned. Meng Qi was even more stunned. He didn't know. This kid was too strange. I even suspect that he has the bloodline of dragons. Dragon's bloodline? This was impossible. The elders of the Demon Imperial Palace exclaimed. Even their Demon Imperial Palace only had the bloodline of flood dragons at most. They didn't have the bloodline of true dragons at all. Perhaps only the nest of 10,000 dragons had it. Hua Tianda's face was gloomy. Damn it, he didn't expect this guy to be so strong. Yanria's eyes flickered as if she already knew about this. Elders, treat Elder Meng's injuries first, and get rid of the sword intent in his body. Let's go. Hua Tiandu gave a few instructions, then led the large group, and quickly set off. That was because they wanted to see who had unleashed that terrifying power that shook the heavens and earth. It wasn't just the Demon Imperial Palace. At this moment, everyone had gathered. Lin Xian also frowned. Shen Jingqiu and Morong Qingcheng, who were sitting cross-legged, opened their eyes. How is it? You didn't get interrupted, did you? Lin Xian asked with concern. The two women shook their heads. Fortunately, they had memorized everything. Big brother Lin Xian, don't worry, they'll remember it all. Shen Jingqiu smiled. That's good. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. With a wave of his hand, he wanted to put away the treasure map. However, at this moment, a roar suddenly came from afar. Good stuff. 6 Dao patterns. That's mine. A huge hand that covered the sky descended from the sky, trying to take away the treasure map. You're courting death. Lin Xian was instantly furious. His figure flashed, and he instantly grabbed the treasure map and put it into the black earth. At the same time, the dark red divine dragon activated the array to resist. Xing Tian punched out. Boom! 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 A fierce collision sounded again. The figure was knocked back and shouted angrily. Damn it! How dare you stop us? Are you tired of living? Hand over the treasure obediently, or I'll send you to the 18th level of hell. The twin kings of middle ground. Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. Why did they appear? They didn't go through the middle passage. Could it be that the people from the other 2 passages were also here? He was very confused. But he didn't have time to think too much, because the twin kings of middle ground were charging over in the sky again. The pitch-black demonic chi turned into a death scythe and slashed down. On the other side, the heavenly treasure Dharma wheel also fell mercilessly. You're courting death. Let's attack together. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and then slashed out with his sword. The dark red divine dragon swung its tail, and Xing Tian punched out violently. Morong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu also attacked. It was 5 against 2. The twin kings of middle ground were sent flying in an instant, and they were vomiting blood. The golden light and the boundless demonic chi in the sky dimmed. This attack could be said to be earth-shattering. This caused everyone's gazes to turn toward them, because this energy was too terrifying. They all thought that the earth-shattering sound from before was that energy. Therefore, many people flew over in a flash. When they saw the twin kings of middle ground flying back, everyone stopped in their tracks. They were shocked and bewildered. Heavens, what kind of energy was that? How could it send the twin kings of middle ground flying in an instant? It was more than that. Didn't you see that they were vomiting blood? Everyone was stunned. The elders and powerhouses of the great sage didn't dare to approach at all. Wang Ju, the twin kings of middle ground, had the strength of a son of middle ground, and he was one of the most powerful sons of middle ground. But now he was sent flying back while vomiting blood. Who dared to move forward? In the sky, the twin kings of middle ground flew backward for a long time before they stopped. The 2 of them were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. They charged over again. But soon, they were sent flying again while vomiting blood. Moreover, their injuries were more serious than the last time. This caused everyone to be stunned. The twin kings of middle ground were so angry that they roared. The golden light and demonic chi on their bodies surged into the sky, and quickly healed their broken bones. However, the 2 of them didn't attack again. Instead, they flew over. When they saw the other party's lineup, their eyelids twitched. No wonder the two of them couldn't defeat them. Damn it. The other party had 3 sons of middle ground. In addition, there was a peerless powerhouse and a very strange snake. Each of them was a shocking enemy. If they joined forces, the two of them wouldn't be able to defeat them at all. The others also saw clearly that the terrifying attackers were Lin Xian and the other 4. They sucked in a breath of cold air. The previous tremors weren't caused by them, right? Lin Xian looked at the figure in front of him and asked in a deep voice, "Why are you here? Where are the people from the other passages?" Hearing that, the surrounding cultivators of the sacred grounds also came back to their senses. That's right, there were no twin kings in the middle passage. Could it be that the people from the other 2 passages had also come? Sure enough, more and more figures flickered in front of them. Obviously, they were the people from the other 2 passages. At that moment they were all injured. Some of them were dimmed, while others were excited. It seemed that this path was filled with opportunities, fortuitous encounters, treasure snatching and killing. Compared to when they first entered, there were obviously fewer people in that group. It seemed that the other 2 passages weren't safe either. Chapter 2469. The Central State Prince couldn't win, but he gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, fight me one-on-one if you have the guts." One-on-one? Lin Xian snorted in disdain. You 2-headed monsters have the face to say that you want to fight one-on-one? When have you ever fought one-on-one with others? You want to fight one-on-one? Sure, split yourself in half first. Then I will fight you one-on-one. Hearing this, the Central State Twin Kings were so angry that they vomited blood. The surrounding people felt their scalps go numb. This kid was too powerful. He had called the Twin Kings monsters more than once. What was even more shocking was that he was still alive and well. Instead, it was the Central State Twin Kings who had suffered losses time and time again. Kid, you think you are very powerful? You think the 5 of you can fight against us? If you provoke us, we will fight to the death. A vicious look appeared in the Twin King's eyes. He pointed at Lin Xian and shouted loudly, "Listen up. This brat has a stone tablet in his hand that contains 6 Dao patterns. If you want it, then go ahead and attack him." What? A stone tablet with 6 Dao patterns? The surrounding people were shocked, and their eyes turned red. Their eyes lit up as they stared at Lin Xian. Xing Tian's expression was solemn. Morong Qingcheng and the others were furious. The dark red divine dragon was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Damn, this is too despicable. He wants to join forces with others to attack us. However, before he could say anything, Lin Xian spoke. He sneered. Why? Are you trying to sow discord? Why don't you say 10 Dao patterns? Why don't you go to heaven? Lin Xian sneered and looked around. May I ask, have any of you seen anything with 6 Dao patterns? Once he said this, the others were very confused. Yes, they had at most found 1 or 2 Dao patterns. If they found 3 Dao patterns, they would have already fought. They had never seen anything with 6 Dao patterns. Damn it, don't be fooled by him. He really has it. The Central State Twin Kings gritted his teeth in anger. He looked at the surrounding people and wanted to slap them to death. Why are they so useless? The treasure is clearly in front of them, but they refuse to take it? The 5 of them might be powerful, but with so many experts from the Holy Lands around them, he didn't believe that they would be able to withstand their combined might. Who says we haven't seen him before? We have. At this moment, a furious roar came from afar. As soon as this voice came out, everyone turned their heads. People from the 5 Elements Palace. The 5 Elements Palace had also come. Behind them were the people from the 5 Elements Palace. Their killing intent soared as they approached. The group of people stared at Lin Xian. Among them, the 5 Elements Saint looked at the Twin Kings and asked in a low voice, "You said that this brat has a stone tablet with 6 Dao patterns?" "Yes, I saw it with my own eyes." "Damned brat, hand over the treasure. It originally belonged to our 5 Elements Palace." Upon hearing this, the 5th Holy Son turned around and glared at Lin Xian. His entire face was twisted with malevolence. What? Could it be that there really was one? Furthermore, it was snatched from the 5 Elements Palace? The surrounding Holy Land's martial artists cried out in alarm, their breathing becoming rapid. What do you mean by the Five Elements Palace? How shameless. This belongs to the Demon King Palace. On the other side, Hua Tiandu, Yen Ruyu, and the experts from the Demon King Palace descended from the sky. They also stared at Lin Xian with murderous intent. However, Yen Ruyu did not have any murderous intent. Instead, she was smiling. The people from the Demon King Palace had also come. It seemed that the treasure map with 6 Dao patterns was definitely real. In an instant, everyone surrounded Lin Xian, afraid that he would escape. Brat, hand over the treasure. The people from the Five Elements Palace shouted coldly. On the other side, the people from the Demon King Palace roared. Damned brat, how dare you snatch our treasure? How dare you injure Elder Meng Qi? No matter what, we will not let you off today. You are dead meat. In the crowd, Meng Qi was also gnashing his teeth. Lin Xian looked at him with a hint of disdain. You have the Qiongqi bloodline? What a piece of trash. Come out and fight me if you dare. I will chop you in half. Pfft. Meng Qi was so angry that he vomited blood. He roared at the sky. Ah, damn brat. You are going too far. Just you wait. When I recover my strength, I will kill you with my own hands. You won't have the chance, because you are just a piece of trash in front of me. Lin Xian sneered. He did not care at all. Hua Tiandu said coldly, brat, you are too arrogant. You will not escape today. The experts from the Demon King Palace were filled with murderous intent. The Five Elements Palace was also bursting with energy. At the sight of this, Xing Tian slashed out and looked around with a cold gaze. Boom! At this moment, a cold shout came from afar. Do you want to fight? You can try. How dare you touch the Immortal Palace? Are you tired of living? Protect the Palace Master. 3 thunderous booms rang out as the 3 teams descended once again. It turned out that Elder Li, Elder Wang, and Elder Lu had arrived with a large group. The people from the 3 passageways all gathered in the hall. Seeing that the 3 elders had arrived with their elites, Xing Tian heaved a sigh of relief. The people from the Demon King Palace and the Five Elements Palace also frowned. But soon they sneered. So what if your people are here? Do you think you can fight against us? Is that so? Is the Five Elements Palace very powerful? Morong Qingqing stood out and snorted. She quickly gathered the people from the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. On the other side, Shen Jingxiu also gathered the people from the Purple Cloud Sacred Ground. Granny Qian, kill this big bad guy for me. In an instant, the people from the Purple Cloud Sacred Ground and the Jade Lake Sacred Ground also arrived near Lin Xian. Suddenly, the situation became subtle. Lin Xian had 2 more allies on his side, intimidating the Five Elements Palace and the Demon King Palace. However, things did not end like this. Because the treasure map with 6 Dao patterns was too precious. Especially among them, there were many people who had a grudge against Lin Xian. Therefore Jiu Xiao Seiko, the Thousand Thunder Saint, and the Mophead family all jumped out. Brat, no matter how many allies you have, do you think you can fight against us? Jiu Xiao Seiko snorted coldly. The Thousand Thunder Saint was even more sinister. He said coldly, how about this? We won't make a move. You obediently take out the treasure map with 6 Dao patterns, and we will all study it together. How about that? Hearing this, the martial artists from the surrounding sacred grounds were tempted and began to talk among themselves. On the other hand, the people from the Immortal Palace darkened their faces and were full of murderous intent. The dark red dragon was also gnashing his teeth in anger. Damn it, this guy is too shameless. He wants to gain something without risking anything. Why should we give you the treasure map that we risked our lives to get? That's right, you are the Thousand Thunder Saint. I think you should be called the Shameless Saint. You want to see our treasure map? Why don't you go to heaven? The people from the Immortal Palace snorted coldly and were very angry. The 10,000 Thunder Saint sneered. You're wrong to say that. I am thinking for the sake of the Immortal Palace. Look, you can keep the treasure map and avoid the danger of being besieged. This is a good opportunity. I hope you don't miss it, and don't let me down. The Thousand Thunder Saint looked as if he was thinking for the sake of the Immortal Palace. Seeing this, the dark red dragon, Elder Li, and the others gnashed their teeth in anger. This guy was too wicked. They really wanted to tear his face apart. Chapter 2470. The people from Immortal Palace gritted their teeth. This guy was too immoral. They really wanted to tear his face apart. Lin Xian's face darkened as well. His eyes were filled with a piercing killing intent. At this time, the Tuoba family also jumped out. Kid, hand over the Six Paths treasure map. The Tai dynasty sneered. Hand it over, or no one in the world will forgive you. The other great sects also looked cold. Since there were so many sacred lands taking the lead, why wouldn't they do it? Perhaps the other party would really take out the Six Paths Dao pattern treasure map. In that case, they could still study it. This was definitely a great advantage. Elder Wang, Elder Li and Elder Lu. Lin Xian transmitted his voice to the three of them. Do you know what treasures these sacred lands have obtained? Hearing this, Elder Li's eyes lit up. Sharing treasures? Is this what you want? Elder Li stood out and looked around. That's right. That's for sure. The Thousand Thunder Saint sneered. Jiu Xiao Seiko also looked ferocious. The people of the Tuoba family and the Tai dynasty also laughed sinisterly. Good, very good. Elder Li laughed loudly. Then his eyes shone with a cold light. He pointed at the Tuoba family. The Tuoba family also seems to have obtained a fragment with 3 Dao patterns. Take it out and share it with everyone. What? 3 Dao patterns? The Tuoba family also obtained a fragment? Oh my god! In an instant the martial artists from the great sects all forgot about it. Their eyes were filled with light. Hearing those words, the people from the Tuoba family trembled and almost vomited blood. Damn it, this guy actually pointed his finger at them? But soon, an elder from the Tuoba family sneered. How could a fragment with 3 Dao patterns compare to a treasure map with 6 Dao patterns? I don't think anyone will watch it. Who said so? I want to see it. At this time, Yi Wudao said indifferently. His voice wasn't loud, but it was clearly heard by everyone. Hearing this, the eyelids of the Tuoba family twitched. Their faces turned ugly. Damn it! Yi Wudao actually stood out to support the other party. This was unexpected. Not only that, I also want to take a look at the fragment with 3 Dao patterns. At this moment another voice spoke. Everyone turned their heads and looked over. Then they gasped. Because the one who spoke was actually the prince of the great Xia dynasty. This caused the faces of the people from the Tuoba family to turn green. Damn it! Why is the Grand Xia Empire standing on the side of the other party? I think it's not bad. Why don't the Tuoba family take it out and have a look? Another person spoke up. This was also a young man. His face was pale as if he was sick, but his eyes were as deep as the stars, causing others to be lost in them. Gu family. The Gu family actually came as well. Moreover, there were also people who said such words. These people were all stunned. It was because the Gu clan was the same as the Yi clan. They were both families of the remote antiquity. The person who spoke was none other than Gu Santong, whom Lin Xian had met before. She hadn't seen him before, but he was here. Now they finally met. Lin Xian looked at the other party with a smile on his face, and nodded slightly. Gu Santong also smiled. The faces of the Tuoba family were as black as the bottom of a pot. Actually, I also want to see it. On the western desert side, No Flower spoke up. Next, the saint of all beginnings, Morong Qingqing, and Shen Jingqiu also spoke up. These were all peerless geniuses who represented a sacred ground and a clan of the ancients. In an instant, so many people spoke up, causing the surrounding sacred grounds and sects to be surprised. It seemed that the Immortal Palace wasn't isolated and without help. It could actually contact so many clan of the ancients and sacred grounds. The Tuoba family didn't dare to speak. The Saint of Thousand Thunder, Jiu Xiao Seiko, and the others' faces were extremely ugly. The people of the Tai dynasty were also gnashing their teeth. Seeing this, Elder Li's face was full of pride. He looked at the other party again. What, you can't take it out? Didn't you say that you wanted to share the treasure? Why are you not willing to do it when it comes to me? This slap in the face was too loud. Elder Lu also stood up, looked at the Tai dynasty and said coldly, I remember that the Tai dynasty also obtained a stone tablet with mysterious runes engraved on it. Take it out, and let everyone study it together. Maybe we can decipher some secrets. The Tai dynasty was so angry that he vomited blood. He didn't expect that the flames of war would finally spread to them. For a moment, they felt the gazes of Yi Wudao, Gu Santong, the prince of the Great Xia dynasty, and the others. I like the mysterious runes very much. Take it out and study it. Maybe there really are some secrets. Maybe there is the key to the ancient tomb. Cold voices sounded out, causing the Tai emperor's body to tremble, and he was so angry that he coughed up blood. The Saint of Thousand Thunder, Jiuxiao Seiko, and the others wanted to speak, but Elder Lu spoke again at this time. Jiuxiao Seiko, I remember that you seem to have obtained a white bone with golden patterns flashing on it. How about it, take it out and study it together. The Saint of Thousand Thunder, you seem to have a piece of human skin with blood-red patterns on it. I wonder which expert left it behind. Why don't I help you study it? Damn it. Hearing this, the Saint of Thousand Thunder and Jiuxiao Seiko's faces turned green. They didn't expect that the other party would know their treasures like the back of his hand. This was simply too surprising. For a moment, they were speechless, and their faces were gloomy. At this time Lin Xian sneered. What? You said that you wanted to share the treasures. Why don't you share them now? How about this? I'll take out the treasure map with 6 Dao patterns, and you guys take out all the treasures you obtained. Everyone can study it together. How about it? These people didn't say anything. What kind of joke was this? They had worked hard to obtain these treasures. How could they be willing to share them with others? They had thought that the immortal palace was isolated and helpless, so they joined forces to suppress them. But they didn't expect that kid to have so many friends. Even ancient families like the Yi family and the Gu family were involved. This caught them off guard. The 9 Heavens Sacred Ground, Thousand Thunder Sacred Ground, and the others didn't say anything. However, the people of the 5 Elements Palace and the Demon Imperial Palace jumped out again. The people of the 5 Elements Palace gritted their teeth. No matter what, others don't have the right, but we do. Kid, this was originally something we found, but you snatched it away. Hurry up and hand it over. Or don't blame us for being impolite. No one can snatch what I want. I'll give you a chance. Kneel down and hand over the treasure map with both hands. I can spare your life. Chapter 2471. Tiandu snorted coldly. His body was surrounded by lightning, and his murderous aura filled the sky. You still have the cheek to say that? The dark red dragon jumped out and waved its claws, pointing at the people from the 5 Elements Palace. You shameless bastards! Didn't you attack us at the corpse burial ground to snatch the traversing grass? Now you're pretending to be sanctimonious. That was an ownerless item. We're powerful, so what if we got it? And the Demon King Palace sent people to follow us. What's the meaning of this? Are you trying to assassinate us? You attacked us first, and you're blaming us for snatching it? With that, the dark red dragon waved its hand and grabbed the Bat King and the giant Python King. The 2 guys' flesh was torn open, and it was obvious that they had been tortured beyond recognition. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air, their faces full of shock. The Demon King Palace sent people to follow them secretly. God, what were they trying to do? Indeed, those who were not of the same race had different intentions. In an instant, everyone was on high alert. They quickly informed the elders to investigate secretly. They did not want to be targeted by the people from the Demon King Palace. Damn it! The people from the 5 Elements Palace gritted their teeth in anger. The people from the Demon King Palace were even more ferocious. They did not expect the Bat King and the giant Python King to be captured and tortured to such an extent. This made them want to vomit blood. However, they did not explain this matter. They had only sent people to follow them, but no one would believe them if they said it. Although they did not explain, Tiandu could not take it anymore. Damn brat, I'll kill you with my own hands today. The lightning on his body spread, and he quickly rushed out towards Lin Xian. On the side, the 5 Elements Saint also attacked decisively. The 5 Elements Mountain descended from the sky, wanting to suppress Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. A terrifying sword light rose from his body, sweeping across the sky, as if it was going to destroy everything. Just as the battle was about to break out, an earth-shattering sound came from afar, tearing the sword chi in the sky apart. The sea of lightning and the 5 elements mountain were sent flying. What was going on? The 5 elements saint and the saint stopped. Lin Xian also withdrew his sword chi, his face solemn. The 5 elements Holy Land and Fey Imperial Palace frowned, while the others' expressions changed. Not good, this mysterious power is coming again. They had previously thought that the astonishing power was created by Lin Xian's group of 5 working together. But now, it seemed like that wasn't the case. What else was there, hiding in this hall? Some people were puzzled, and some people's eyes lit up. Could it be some kind of earth-shattering treasure? Go and take a look. Thinking that it might be a treasure, these people moved quickly. For a moment they all flew over. Brat, just you wait, this isn't over yet. The 5-star Holy Sun, Fey Lord Palace, and those from the 9 heavens holy ground all stared coldly at Lin Xian. Whoosh! They left quickly. Lin Xian didn't care about this threat at all. In terms of power, Immortal Palace wasn't weaker than any holy land. In terms of individual strength, he didn't think that the 5 elements saint and the others were a match for him. Therefore he didn't care. Instead, he waved his hand and led the people from Immortal Palace forward quickly. Among them, Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingqiu temporarily left his side and joined their own holy lands. The group flew quickly, and soon, they arrived at the center of the hall. There was a wall here, and it was extremely simple. There was nothing there. Therefore, no one had noticed it before. But now a violent energy fluctuation was coming from behind the wall. What was going on? There was something behind the wall. Open it and take a look. These people discussed and prepared to take action. With so many holy lands and sects together, their combined strength was extremely terrifying. Therefore, although this wall was simple and unadorned, it was still cracked by them. Boom, boom, boom. The wall didn't break into pieces, but slowly opened from the middle, as if it was a door. This made everyone even more surprised. Indeed, there was another world behind it. In front, many martial artists directly rushed in. Ah! They exclaimed. Everyone thought that it was some kind of danger, but after looking for a long time, there was no blood. This made them feel much more at ease. The people inside exclaimed. There was something inside. There was a large bronze cauldron. Elder, come quickly. The space inside was very large, about the same as the hall outside. The people inside exclaimed. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up, and they went in one after another. This hall was indeed very large. Even with so many martial artists from the Holy Lands, it didn't seem crowded. For a moment they were extremely puzzled. How could this be? This hall was indeed the same as the one outside, as if it was copied. The only thing that was extra was this large bronze cauldron. Moreover, this large bronze cauldron was too special. It was very tall, about 100 meters tall, like a giant bronze cauldron. This bronze cauldron was made of some unknown material. It was incomparably simple, and there were strange patterns carved on it. They looked like Tao patterns, but also like mysterious characters. They were densely packed and covered the entire cauldron. From afar, it looked like all kinds of rare beasts, flowers, birds, insects, and fish. In the entire hall, there was only this large bronze cauldron. It seemed that the energy came from inside. What was inside? It couldn't be a pill, right? These people were extremely excited, because they had the habit of using cauldrons to refine pills. Now that they thought about it, it was really possible. If it was a divine pill, they would be rich. They might be able to become immortals immediately after eating it. A group of people flew up and looked at it in the sky. They had no choice. They couldn't see the cauldron that was 100 meters tall from below. In the sky there were countless figures. They looked like dark clouds. When those people saw the scene inside, they were all stunned. In fact, their eyes were wide open, and their faces were filled with fear. That was because there were no immortal pills or spiritual herbs inside the bronze cauldron. There were only human heads. One human head after another filled the space inside. Those heads were all the same as humans, but their sizes were countless times larger. One had to know how much space there was inside a 100-meter-tall bronze cauldron. However, those human heads were completely packed. Everyone's eyes focused, and they looked down like lightning. They counted and found that there were a total of 99 human heads. What shocked them even more was that those human heads all carried traces of terrifying auras. Although there wasn't much of it left, just a trace of it was enough to shock them. It had definitely surpassed that of a peerless powerhouse. Could those be the heads of an invincible king? It was unknown who said this sentence, but immediately, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. 99 invincible kings' heads. Heavens, who would be so generous? Was it the sage in this ancient tomb? Why did he kill 99 invincible kings? Why did he put all of their heads in the bronze cauldron? Chapter 2472. At that moment, they all wanted to retreat. That was because they felt that this place was too sinister. They should leave as soon as possible. However, as soon as they moved, a huge force came from the bronze cauldron. Then all of them were sent flying. Those who were more powerful felt their blood boil, while those who were weaker spat out mouthfuls of blood. At that moment, countless people had a look of fear on their faces. Damn it, it was indeed the bronze cauldron. It was the energy emitted by the bronze cauldron. Could it be the heads of the 99 invincible kings? They did not dare to imagine. Could it be that the 99 invincible kings had something to do with their heads? Or could it be that their heads contained terrifying energy? They did not know what was going on, but the energy in the bronze cauldron was getting stronger and stronger. Leave quickly, an elder of the Yin-Yang sect shouted coldly, and everyone prepared to escape. However, soon, an inexplicable force froze all of them, as if they were imprisoned. Lin Xian also felt the force. His eyes were cold, and he wanted to use the dragon sword soul. However, in the next moment, the space around him shattered, and the black hole swallowed him. At the last moment before he fell into the black hole, he used his soul to sense that not only him, but everyone in the hall was swallowed by the black hole. Buzz! The world spun. That feeling only lasted for an instant, and Lin Xian came out. As soon as he came out, the dragon sword field surrounded him, and the terrifying sword light surrounded him. At the same time, he spread out his soul to search around. He found that there was no danger around him, and the walls around him were emitting an ancient aura. It seemed that they were still in the ancient tomb, and had not left. Then what was the reason? Why did the bronze cauldron swallow all of them? Random teleportation? Lin Xian thought of a possibility. Perhaps this was a trap to prevent powerful forces from attacking the ancient tomb of the saints. Therefore, it created such a trap to randomly teleport everyone to disperse the powerful forces. That way, no one would be able to threaten the ancient tomb. That was not a good thing for them. Lin Xian did not know how the people from the Immortal Palace were doing. He did not know if Xin Jingxiu and Morong Qingqing would act alone. No, he had to hurry up and find them. They would definitely be able to meet up. Thinking of this, Lin Xian immediately moved forward. He did not walk quickly, because he was alone in the tomb of the sage. If he were to encounter another army of Yin soldiers, he would not be able to fight against them. Therefore, he tried his best to be careful, and not touch any of the array mechanisms. After walking for a while, nothing happened. But at this time, Lin Xian suddenly heard movement in front of him. There were also energy fluctuations. What is this? The power of the 5 elements. Sensing this aura, Lin Xian's lips curled into a cold smile. It was someone from the 5 elements palace. That's great, I'll be able to kill him. Everyone knew that the 5 elemental palace was too despicable, as they had gone against him time and time again. He did not believe that they would still dare to act scornfully in front of him. Thinking up to this point, Lin Xian used his soul force as he quickly advanced. The person in front was indeed an elder from the 5 elements palace. He was also alone. At this moment, he was teleported into a stone house. He was so angry that he was going crazy, because he also knew that this was a trap to disperse their forces. Damn it, I have to meet up with them quickly. The elder from the 5 elements palace immediately set off, but after taking 2 steps he stopped, because he saw a figure standing in the passage in front of him. Damn brat, it's you! The elder from the 5 elements palace narrowed his eyes, and then his face became ferocious. He discovered that this figure was none other than Lin Xian, the person he hated to the point of gnashing his teeth. In an instant, his soul force spread out and penetrated in all directions. Ha 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 ha. He looked up to the sky and laughed. He realized that there was only him and the other party around. The experts from the Immortal Palace were not here. Humph. His eyes were ferocious. Brat, we finally meet again. You don't have any experts protecting you. Let's see how you escape this time. He was overjoyed because this way, he could kill Lin Xian alone. Why should I escape? Lin Xian sneered. The one who should escape is you. But I won't give you the chance. Humph. You want to fight me with just you alone? The elder from the Five Elements Palace showed a trace of disdain. His eyes were like rainbows that pierced through the void, and his body was filled with the terrifying power of the five elements. Die, brat! The elder formed a seal with both hands and struck out with the power of the five elements, forming a terrifying handprint. It pressed down from the sky. Boom! The sky shook, and the five elements seal directly enveloped Lin Xian. Humph! Lin Xian sneered. He had long wanted to make a move, but he did not expect the other party to be so reckless. He waved his arm, and the five elements sword flew out. Between heaven and earth, tens of thousands of sword chi shone, like a rain of blades, and crashed into the five elements seal. In an instant, the five elements seal was shattered. Boom boom boom. The two collided, and the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Damn it, how could he be so strong? When the elder from the Five Elements Palace saw this scene, his face darkened. He did not expect that the five elements seal he struck out would be broken in an instant by the other party. This was really beyond his expectations. Damn it, the five elements chain. He waved his hand, and two five elements chain flew out from his sleeve. He wanted to capture Lin Xian and seal him. The five elements chain swam in the air like a venomous snake, piercing through the void and making rustling sounds. The power of the five elements spread in the air. Clang clang clang. The five elements chain collided with the sword chi in the sky, making thunderous sounds. Large cracks appeared in the void one after another. The battle between the two was extremely terrifying. In the blink of an eye, dozens of moves had passed. However, at this moment, Lin Xian suddenly pulled out his ancient sword and cut the invisible chain. Clang! The five elements chain fell to the ground, and the elder from the Five Elements Palace spat out blood. This was his natal magic treasure, and now that it was broken he was shocked. Damn it! How could he be so strong? The elder from the Five Elements Palace's expression became extremely ugly. He did not dare to fight anymore and turned around to escape. He withdrew the five elements chain, and under his feet, the power of the five elements swam, and he instantly fled into the distance. You want to leave? Lin Xian snorted coldly, and used the demigods and semi-devils. His speed was much faster than the elder, and in an instant, he was behind the elder. He slashed down with his sword. Puff! The elder from the Five Elements Palace was hit in the back, and he spat out blood and flew out. However, he used this opportunity to increase his speed again. Damn brat, go to hell! The blood in the sky was ignited by him, turning into the fire of the five elements that burned fiercely. He wanted to escape. Whoosh! However, Lin Xian did not give him the chance. His face was full of killing intent. The other party had provoked him time and time again, so how could he let him leave? Chapter 2473. Buzz! Lin Xian directly formed a dragon-shaped sword shadow and slashed out. Puff! A dragon-shaped sword chi slashed down and instantly extinguished the five elements' fire. Not only that, but the sword light also enveloped the five elements elder. No! Damn it! The five elements elder's face was ferocious. He felt a peerless killing intent. He didn't expect that the other party would have such a sword technique. He wanted to resist, but it was too late. If he had fought desperately from the beginning, he might not have been killed so quickly. However, he was determined to escape. Therefore, he couldn't resist the dragon-shaped sword shadow at all. Puff! With a flash of light, a head flew up, and the five elements elder's body fell to the ground. His eyes widened in disbelief. because his soul was also destroyed in an instant. The Five Elements Palace's elder was completely killed. If anyone was here, they would definitely be shocked. Lin Xian's expression was cold. He took the other party's storage ring, and then a ball of black fire floated out and burned the other party's body. His eyes flickered as he identified the direction, and then he strode away. Along the way, he found that this place was very chaotic, like a maze, and there weren't many treasures. He guessed that this shouldn't be a passage, so he wasn't in a hurry to go on his way. Instead, he was looking for prey. Previously, the Five Elements Palace, Demon King Palace, Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground, Nine Heavens Sacred Ground, Tuoba family, and Tai Dynasty were eyeing him covetously. They even wanted to join forces to attack his immortal palace, which made Lin Xian very angry. Therefore, he couldn't wait to find the geniuses of these sacred grounds and kill them. Under Lin Xian's search, he really did manage to find another person. This wasn't an ordinary disciple, nor was it an elder, but a saint. The Myriad Thunder Saint. The Myriad Thunder Saint also saw Lin Xian. He immediately roared, and thunder surged all over his body. He rushed over quickly like the god of thunder. As he moved, the entire space trembled. It was as if a lightning beast was roaring, or as if lightning was descending. The Saint Son of Myriad Thunder's eyes were filled with killing intent. This was not the first time he had fought with Lin Xian. Even in the Eastern Wilderness, he had fought with Lin Xian before. At that time, the other party had even snatched away one of his Dharma treasures, the Myriad Lightning Hammer. This made him so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. Later on, he went into seclusion to cultivate, and finally broke through to become a mighty figure. His strength had undergone an earth-shattering change. When he came out of seclusion, he went to look for her, only to find that she had already disappeared from the Eastern Wilderness. This became one of the regrets of his life, because he wanted to kill the other party with his own hands. Who would have thought that they would meet him again in the tomb of the Central Region? What made him gnash his teeth in anger was that the other party had also broken through. His strength was not any weaker than his. This made the killing intent in Saint Son Myriad Thunder's heart surge even more. He swore that he must kill this great enemy. However, not only was the other party powerful, he even had the extremely powerful Immortal Palace as his backer. The Immortal Palace's strength was not inferior to their 10,000 lightning holy land. Thus, he had once again lost the opportunity to kill them. However, things were different now. The heads of the 99 invincible kings had thrown them all into disorder, scattering them all over the ancient tomb. Now that the two of them had met alone, it was a chance for the Saint Son Myriad Thunder to take revenge and kill the other party. Boy, I have to say that your luck is really bad. You actually met me alone. Today is the day you die. The Saint Son Myriad Thunder's body erupted with lightning. Humph, it's not certain who will die. Lin Xian also sneered. He was also extremely excited. That was because he had been looking for these people. He did not expect that he would really find them. Do you think you can kill me? The Saint Son Myriad Thunder came close. His body was surging with killing intent, bringing about an extremely powerful sense of oppression. Fortunately, there was no one around. Otherwise, he would not have been instantly pressed down. Or, he would have been pierced by the terrifying lightning. I wonder if the elders of the 10,000 lightning holy land will be furious if you die here? Lin Xian sneered. You want to kill me? You're overestimating yourself. Two terrifying lightning bolts burst out from the Saint Son Myriad Thunder's eyes, piercing through the void. He took a step forward, and instantly arrived in front of Lin Xian. A terrifying lightning fist stretched out and directly shrouded the space, including Lin Xian. Crackle. The violent lightning power erupted, shattering a large area of the void, and the figure in the space was also shattered. However, the Saint Son Myriad Thunder did not relax because he could see that it was not the real body of the other party, but an afterimage. Boy, there's no need to hide. You can't hide. The Saint Son Myriad Thunder shouted coldly and attacked again. He waved his hands, bringing about a sky full of lightning. The entire space was completely shattered, and the terrifying lightning covered the sky and earth. Just a bolt of lightning could easily kill an ordinary powerhouse. Even a peerless powerhouse would not dare to resist it head-on. However, Such a terrifying lightning could not do anything to Lin Xian. Lin Xian struck out with the ancient dragon abyss sword and slashed down. The sea of lightning in the sky was cut open, and a vacuum area appeared. Not only that, but the sword chi that filled the sky was also like a divine red, charging toward the Saint Sun myriad thunder. Before the sword arrived, the astonishing aura it carried almost made the Saint Sun myriad thunder's blood freeze. Get lost. The Saint Sun myriad thunder was furious. He did not expect that the other party would dare to kill him, which made him extremely furious. The next moment, he pulled out a blue lightning saber from the sea of lightning in the sky. Clang! The saber and sword collided, emitting a dazzling light, and cracks appeared in the void. He blocked it. He had finally managed to block the sword. You're just SOSO. I'll kill you today. The Saint Sun myriad thunder blocked Lin Xian's sword, and once again revealed a ferocious smile. Today, I'll let you see the great magical power of the myriad thunder sacred land. Ninefold thunder saber. The Saint Sun myriad thunder held the thunder saber in his hand, and his expression became extremely fierce. The sky was full of murderous aura, and then he slashed out. This was a terrifying lightning saber technique, which was a heaven-class cultivation technique. There were a total of 9 layers, and each layer had 9 sabers, for a total of 81 sabers. Each layer was stronger than the previous one. In the end, it was really like the god of thunder descending to the world, and no one could resist. Sure enough, as soon as the ninefold thunder saber appeared, it turned into a thunderbolt and struck down from the sky. Rumble! The surrounding sword chi was all shattered. One could imagine how terrifying the ninefold thunder saber was. Lin Xian performed the demigods and semi-devils, and flashed quickly. However, the space here was not big, so there was not much distance for him to dodge. Whoosh! Sword of wood. Countless trees and forests surrounded him, blocking the thunder and lightning in the sky. Then, Lin Xian quickly charged over. The 5 elements sword technique, and the chaotic heaven destroyer sword. He used it to the point of perfection. One after another, terrifying sword light flashed out. Floating in the sky, they collided with the ninefold thunder saber. The incomparably violent ninefold thunder saber had 81 sabers in the sky. However, it was gradually suppressed. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.